that we'd let you listen to both of them at the same time for just a second there. And now T2 just left. He's just like, I'm out. Done. I'm out. Ladies and gentlemen, your producer today, Chris Evans, Captain America down the hall, filling in, I guess, for a minute.
This is not a good idea.
Very little we do on this show is a good idea. You know what? I'm glad you're here.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here because we had a very interesting discussion going on before the show started that I did not. Chris asked me a question that I did not have an answer to, and we went and looked it up, and it was very, very interesting, at least to me.
I asked you questions because you know things about sports and I don't.
Correct. Bring yours down. Yeah, you're just like,
See,
nobody overpowers me on my own show.
I told you this was a bad idea.
So, Texture says, I don't know if that was supposed to be an intro facelift, but let's not change anything, Kay. Kay. So
just off the rails already.
Welcome. It's pretty par for the course, man. Pretty par for the course.
I got engineering to do.
Hey, do me a favor. What? Come back at like 9:45. No, come back at like 10:15. And let's talk about that thing that we talked about in the office earlier.
I can do that.
Yeah, come back at like 10:15. I want to bring that up. Captain America, Chris Evans down the hall, asked me a valid question that I didn't have an answer to. And that happens like once a week. Because if I don't know the answer, much like most people in America, I will just make something up. I would just make something up entirely. And that's kind of where we are. So, and if you are on the stream, by the way, stand right there. As soon as T2 gets into the stream, I'll be able to open up the sound for you. It has been a catastrophe this morning. Let's just say that. All right. It has just been an absolute catastrophe for everybody this morning. We have had technical problems. We got different shows playing each other. T2 was running down 385 to get here. Just ditched his car like it was Mad Max somewhere over in the region of Topgolf and just sprinted the rest of the way.
That's what it felt like, man.
You all right, buddy?
Yeah, doing good.
Traffic was insane over by Lyman this morning. Whew.
It was bad.
Yeah, so it was like backed up on 85 and on 29.
But we figured it out. All right, we figured it out. We're good. I think we got sound in the stream. We got sound over the air. Where you're only listening. You're only listening to one show now. That's a marked improvement, right? we're gonna get this thing going.
Yeah, we got this.
We're gonna be just fine. It's a little bit of audio adrenaline this AM, you know? A little bit of chaos right out of the gate. Then we settle into whatever the definition of normal is that this show abides by. Let's have some fun today, ladies and gentlemen. It's Thursday. It's Thursday. And you know what that means? Coming up at 9:35, Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast, is going to join us to talk about the Panthers' dub over my Saints and about the matchup with the Arizona Cardinals coming up on Sunday. Then at 10 a.m., what time did I tell him? 10:30? I don't know. Coming up after that, my man Kevin Thomas and John Epps from the Moving the Chains podcast are going to join us on the show. That's at 11. At 11, Kevin and John from Moving the Chains are going to join us. Why on Thursday, you ask? It's because football's today. Almost all of the high school football games in the area have been moved to tonight. So we're going to break those down coming up later on this morning at 11. And then maybe, I make no promises, I make no guarantees, but maybe we might potentially have an appearance from the great one, Lonzo himself, for a little fight club with Lonzo coming up at 11:20 this morning. Maybe, just maybe, we will find out. There is a chance that we will be joined by Lonzo Reitzel coming up this AM at 11:20-ish to do a little fight club. But between now and then, my goodness gracious, ladies and gentlemen, do we have some stuff to talk about? A judge, Aaron friggin' Judge, finally finally got it done. Finally got it done last night. Goes Jan in Toronto to get all squared up with Roger Maris. They now both sit at 61 dingers apiece. Of course, Roger's dead, so he's probably not getting to 62. Hey, Judge Mike, plenty of games left, including a couple more back at New Yankee Stadium. The Yanks have left on the schedule a 3-game homestand against the Baltimore Orioles. They will go tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday at home against the O's. So 62 could come in front of the home crowd, which would be excellent. Then they're on the road for 4 more against the Texas Rangers. A Judge got 62. And if you don't mind, T2 the Timinator, I have got the sound from that in the Google Drive. If you don't mind pulling that for me, I believe it's called Judge 62 or Judge Hit 62. This is the sound that went down last night when Aaron Judge etched his name into the history books of Major League Baseball.
And the 3-2. Drill deep to left field. This could be it. See ya. He's done it. Number 61. He's been chasing history, and now he makes it. He and Roger Maris are tied with 61 home runs, the most anybody has ever hit in a single season in American League history.
Never see emotion from Aaron Judge. Well, you did here. What a monkey off his back, and what a swing for the ages.
Well, Tim Meza will now forever be on the other side of history with Tracy Stallard. After he served up this pitch, Mom knew it. Roger Maris Jr. knew it. And they are united in history around the magical, mystical number 61. He is loved in that dugout, in that clubhouse for his unselfishness. He is the star of this team. He doesn't act like it, but he has done something that only one other man in American League history has ever done. Hit 61 home runs. So number 99 catches number 9 here in Toronto.
So there you go. That's gonna do it. Aaron Judge goes 61 dingers in a single season. He ties Roger Maris for the all-time HR single season record. And if you don't count the juicers and alleged juicers, there are some who are going to call that the all-time Major League Baseball single season home run record. For about 5 days, we've been getting the text, the push alerts from ESPN. Watch every Aaron Judge at bat tonight by clicking here. Don't miss an AB for AJ. Click here. And I know some folks were really starting to get annoyed by that, right? We talked about this on Monday, the pushback, the blowback towards ESPN for pushing A. Judge's home run quest over the Clemson-Wake Forest game on Saturday night was huge. There were a ton of people. In fact, I don't know if you saw it, but the South Carolina social media team went full meme on it when they set up, they put a video. If you haven't seen it, it's absolutely hilarious. They put up a video on their Twitter page, and their Twitter page showed the beginning of the sandstorm, the beginning of the entrance to South Carolina. It's like, is this the greatest entrance of all time? And they started running through it. And then right as Sandstorm and 2021 ends and Sandstorm starts, and they kind of shift the focus over to where the fans are coming up with the towels, it switches and it's like, let's go live to an Aaron Judge at bat. It's very funny. All right, listen, it's hard to describe it as funny as it was, but go look at it on their social media page. It's very, very funny. And they got a lot of blowback from people. Last night, A. Judge gets to 61, and I don't know if people cared or not, because on one hand, there was a lot of talk about it on my social media feeds, right? On my Twitter page, on my Facebook. But I also know the people that were talking about it that were baseball fans versus the people who were just kind of making jokes about it, right? Like, I know the Diddy's of the world. My guy, Mike Venditti. I know Diddy was being sincere when he talks about it, even as a Bo Sox fan. I know that, my friends, the Hopeful clan back in Fort Walton, huge baseball family, all Bo Sox fans. And they were all out there being, paying tribute to Aaron Judge and what he accomplished. And then obviously there were just oodles and oodles and oodles of memes about Aaron Judge. Like, people were taking videos of huge moments in sports history and then pasting the cut to Aaron Judge's at-bats over them. Really funny. But how many of you cared? Genuinely, how many of you cared? How many of you got into that? How many of you went out of your way last night in order to watch that AB? I did. How many of you guys did? I'm curious. Now, coming up at 10:15, I want to have a really, really interesting conversation because Captain America Chris Evans down the hall is going to join us, and I'm bringing him in for one reason and one reason alone. I kind of want to have a two-part perspective, and I want to bring in a non-sports, non-baseball guy for one element of it, right? We asked the question, as A. Judge's 60th or 61st, a fan in the stands had the ball in the glove and dropped it. Flat out, had it. That's $1 million baseball. Dropped it. It fell down into the Toronto Blue Jays bullpen, where the pitching coach grabbed it and then just turned it over to the Yankees. Just, there's $1 million baseball. There you go. So I want to ask the question, how would you have handled catching that baseball? Chris is going to come in. T2's here. From like a non-sports, non-baseball perspective, would you have known the value of that baseball and what would you have done with it? And then when we were having that discussion before the show started, Chris asked me a really good question. He said, because I told him about so Albert Pujols hit his 700th home run a couple of days ago, yeah? And the guy who caught Albert Pujols' 700th home run, he grabbed the rock, looked at a camera like Jim from The Office, and then just left. Like skedaddled, out of Dodge, right? Took the 700th home run ball and just GTFO'd. Just got out. He was gone. And I was talking to Chris about this, and he's like, how would they authenticate that ball, right? Like, how would you, if you took that ball and you left, wouldn't you just be able to get any other Major League Baseball and be like, yo, this is the one?
Yeah, that was about to be my question.
Yeah, and it's a great question. So I looked it up, and now I have the answer, and it's really interesting. So coming up around 10:15, I'm going to tell you what that answer is. Stick around for that. In the meantime, got a few things we need to get to. Coming up in the next segment, is Clemson at home against NC State? Is this a revenge game? Like, is there a little something special for you if you're a Clemson fan to beat Dave Dorn in this game after what he did to you last year. More importantly, what he did post-game last year. I'm going to ask about that. Then, coming up after that at 9:35, we'll be joined by Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast, to talk a little Panther football. 10 o'clock, straight up, we are going to get into the South Carolina game tonight, break down some X's and O's. 10:15, we'll give you the conversation we were just setting up with Chris and Tim. And then it's just your calls from 10:30 to 11. That's the phone call segments today, 10:30 to 11. If you want to get in, 844-FAN-PHONE's the number. 10:30 to 11 is going to be the best time for you today. Let's take a break. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
WORD Weather Center, here's the Upstate's most trusted forecast on the Fan Upstate. Mostly sunny skies today with a high of 71. Tonight, mostly cloudy, low 56. Friday, a chance for rain showers, cloudy, high of 63. And Saturday, chance for rain, a high of 65. Sunday, chance for rain, high of 66. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Vuchinski on the Fan Upstate. Currently, it's 55.
Here's another remarkable success story from QC Kinetics. This one from Chad, who hurt his knee at the gym one day, and it just kept on hurting for months.
From my high school football and wrestling days, I already had a little bit of damage in there, but this just sent it over the edge.
Chad tried traditional treatments with no improvement when he turned to the non-surgical regenerative treatments at QC Kinetics.
It was really fascinating how they did their work, and the science behind it was very intriguing, and it works. Extracting the cure out of my own body blew my mind. It's like I'm brand new again. It was fantastic.
That's because the QC Kinetics natural biologic treatments use your body's own healing power to restore damaged tissue in your hips, shoulders, back, and knees, providing long-lasting relief.
Now I'm back in the gym. I'm 100% feeling great.
If you're tired of suffering with pain from arthritis or injury, call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 864-448-3772. That's 864-448-3772. 864-448-3772.
It's easy to think all money managers are pretty much the same, but at Fisher Investments, we're clearly different.
Different how? You sell high commission investments, right?
What's a good title for that first one? Yeah, it was MLB, Major League Baseball.
Put Aaron Judge gets 61. AARON Judge, JDGE.
Our client's best interest. It's the highest standard of care for a financial advisor.
How do you know what's in their best interest?
We get to know our clients and then tailor a portfolio based on their goals and needs.
But you probably sneak in some hidden and layered fees.
No, we have one transparent management.
All right, stream, what's up? How y'all doing? Good to see everybody.
How y'all
Luke
doing?
asked, T2, do you come from Lyman?
Yeah. Well, I don't come from there, but I live there. Actually, my address is Welford, but Welford, Duncan, and Lyman are all pretty much the same.
I don't think I've been to Lyman yet.
You've been through Lyman if you've been to Burns.
Okay. I know I go through Greer, right? Go through Greer.
You go through Greer to get there?
Yeah. Because I go down.
Okay, so you hit 290 and
I take Wade
come in the
Hampton.
back way?
Yeah,
Okay,
I take
yeah.
Wade Hampton in through Greer. Lyman's on the other side of Greer? Or other side of Burns?
Yeah, so if you go past the baseball field,
Yeah.
you keep going,
Okay.
that's downtown Lyman.
Gotcha, okay.
And then Lyman's this little spit of land. And then everything else is Welford. Welford kind of like zigzags and jags into Lyman. Okay. Yeah, man. Yeah, I grew up in that area. I went to Burns and everything. My family's from Maryland, though, and I was originally born in Maryland.
Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who
Yep,
posted
yep.
on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate
Yep,
within the first
Burns
30
Rebels,
days.
man.
ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Dell Technologies
REBS Rebs. Oh, old school right there.
Pro that's built for business. Call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL.
Sponsored by Taco Bell. Taco Bell is the place for breakfast. Why? Because of the bacon breakfast quesadilla. This quesadilla stuffed with fluffy eggs, crispy bacon, and a 3-cheese blend is here to complete your morning. Get your breakfast quesadilla at a participating Taco Bell location near you.
Always streaming wherever you are. See, making Fan Upstate a favorite.
Is this NC State game a revenge game for Clemson? Remember, last year NC State got the better of Clemson. But more importantly, I think it was after the overtime 27-21 loss, in which DJ Uiagalelei went 12 of 26 for $111, 2 touches, and a pick. In which DJ was your leading rusher with 63 yards. Will Shipley, 36. Kobe Pryor, 5. I think the thing that everybody got up all in a twist about was after the game, Dave Doran was cited on the sideline with a cigar and celebrating with a red Solo cup. I filled you up. There's also been, obviously, a lot of dislike between Dave Doran and the Clemson Tigers in years past. And I know there's a lot of drama, and I'm not going to pretend to know all about it. I just know that Doran has had some comments in the past that got up under the fur of Clemson Tiger fans. Because in the last couple of years, every time this game has come up, you guys have told me this game matters. So I'm going to ask you this year specifically, with NC State being a ranked team, with Clemson being a ranked team, what's this game look like to you guys, right? This is a top 10 matchup taking place this weekend with NC State in at number 10 and Clemson hanging on to their spot at number 5 as the home team. What does this game mean to you guys? Is this a rivalry game? Is it just another game? How big is this game for you? That's my question mark. I got to tell you, like on one hand, if I'm NC State, I absolutely get Dave Doran busting out the stogie, busting out the red Solo cup last year after the dub, right? I get it. Because even if Clemson was down last year, and they were, if you were anybody else in the ACC, knocking off Clemson is going to feel like a big deal. Knocking off the Tigers is going to feel like a big deal. And for NC State, that is a deal that I absolutely believe they're going to be talking about for a very, very long time, right? Like that one mattered a lot to them. So I get it. I get why Dave Doran was celebrating at that point. On the flip side, if you're Clemson, obviously you're going to take that as a bit disrespectful. I have no doubt about that. You're going to take that as a bit disrespectful. You're going to take that as a personal slight. And I frankly don't have an issue with that either. So, Clemson fans, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I genuinely believe that this is the biggest game remaining on your schedule, right? This is the biggest game that you've got left standing between you and the end of the season. There's a couple other ones I'm interested in. I brought up a couple of times that at FSU on October 15th now looks very interesting to me. At Notre Dame looks very interesting to me. Notre Dame looks like they have kind of started to swing this thing around a little bit. They're only 2-2 with a loss to Marshall, but they beat Cal. They beat North Carolina. This week again, they're off this week. Next week against BYU will be a big mark for Notre Dame. At Notre Dame looks interesting. If that game was at Clemson, I'm a little less interested in it. I thought that Miami was going to be the big name this year, mainly because once again, we fell into a spot where we all believed Miami was back, and the U is not. And then, with all due respect to the Gamecocks, South Carolina's just not in that category yet. And we'll see if they grow up a little bit by the end of the year. But as of right now, they're not there yet. So my question is, with Clemson, NC State being the biggest game remaining on the schedule, right? It's a top 10 matchup at home. There's a reason game day will be in the upstate this weekend. With this being the biggest remaining game on the schedule, what's the mentality of Tiger fans in this one, right? Like, how y'all feel? How y'all feel about this one? Is there a little extra juice? Is there a little extra gas to this game? I would think that there's got to be. Right? That being said, remember I told you last week that, or I should say Monday of this week, that Clemson was sitting on like a 77% chance of winning this game? ESPN's Football Power Index now has Clemson at an 83.5% chance probability of winning this game. Don't hate to see that. Devin Leary coming in as the quarterback. He is 80 of 125, 890 yards, 9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. DJ, 83 of 129, but has heavily outmatched Leary in the total yards thrown for, has 1 more touchdown and 1 fewer pick at 10-1. Will Shipley, 52 carries, 353 on the ground, 7 touchdowns. The running back coming in at number 1, Demi Sumo Kongbai, is at 39 carries for 252. You got the advantage at running back. Through the air, you are going to have the leading receiver be Thayer Thomas for NC State, Bo Collins at Clemson. Thomas has 2 more receptions than Bo, 15-13, but the numbers are about the same. 217 yards for Thomas, 218 for Bo. 2 touchdowns for Thomas, 4 for Collins. But when you look at team statistics, there's a little bit of difference in some key spots. Clemson is outscoring NC State on a per game basis 43.8 to 36. But Clemson is also giving away more points per game, 21.8 to 11.8. However, the matchups have been different. That includes a top 10 Wake Forest team who put 45 on the board. If you took the double OT game off the board for Clemson, Clemson would be averaging, giving away, 13 and a half points per game, right? It was all Wake that skews that number. It's not that bad. Total yards per game, Clemson is outgaining Wake, 458 to 411. Yards allowed, they're also giving up more, 346 to 261. But Clemson's kind of running with that bend but don't break situation, right? We don't care. Here's the thing. You don't win a football game by who gained the most yards. It's who scored the most points. And for the most part, Clemson has, again, bent but not broken. You're going to get some yards. You're not going to get a ton of points. And NC State already does not score nearly as many points as Clemson per game on a per-game basis. And then look at NC State's opponents so far. UConn, Texas Tech, Charleston Southern, and ECU. Y'all, Clemson is warmed up for this game, right? That game against Wake taught them some stuff. NC State is not warmed up yet. UConn is not prepping you for Clemson. Even if Clemson's down, they're not prepping you for Clemson. Texas Tech is not prepping, not this year. There have been some pretty good Texas Tech teams in the past, but they're not prepping you for them this year. Charleston Southern and ECU certainly aren't. And remember, ECU nearly beat NC State. That game finished 21-20, right? NC State ain't there. Texter says, Rob, Dave Doran is human feces. He boasted about taking out an injured player or injuring a player on Clemson's team. Like I said, I know there's been some drama. I know there used to be some drama. I know there used to be some pettiness there. And there still is. And don't just go away. Question is, can you put that in the back pocket and just go out there and play Clemson football? Let's take a break. When we come back here in just a minute, it's time to talk a little bit of Carolina Panther football. They got their first dub of the season last week. Of course it had to be over my Saints. And of course I had to hang out with Rashad Beard when it happened. Why wouldn't that be the first game that we got to hang at? Rashad joins us to break that game down and look ahead to Arizona coming up next on The Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. He comes in on router 3. Put it in queue. Yeah, put him on. Rashad, you got me, big dog. Give me a sound check real quick so we can see if we can hear you. You got Q turned all the way up? Ah, Lord of mercy. Let's see if I can get...
As the Clemson Tigers take on number 10 NC State tomorrow. The kickoff scheduled for 7:30. The Tigers with a 59-29-1 all-time record in the series. South Carolina football in South Carolina State tangle tonight, 7 o'clock kickoff. The game moved up due to Hurricane Ian. The Gamecocks are 2-2. The Bulldogs are 1-2. The Carolina Panthers set for...
Oh, that's right.
There we go.
I've only been using this damn thing for like...
All right, can you give me like a check? Just say check constantly.
Check. Okay,
we're good.
Perfect. What's up, big dog?
Good, man. Hanging in there.
I heard you.
Have you recovered yet?
Have I recovered yet? Shoot. No. God, dog. Like, I told my mom, I was like, we were driving up, and I was like, man, I don't feel right about this game. She's like, why? I was like, this is the type of game that New Orleans loses. This is the type of game we lose. The game that we ain't supposed to lose. We just always fall apart. Like, I know it. You ever watch those NFL Net shows where they talk about like the greatest NFL records of all time, and they show the guys breaking the records? It's always against the Saints. It's always every NFL record gets broken against New Orleans. Every time.
It's unfortunate, man.
Somebody said, Rashad, I hope it rains 6 inches in Charlotte this weekend so Kyler Murray gets completely submerged in water.
That's funny.
Fell out laughing.
That's funny. Yeah, that's funny. Oh, man. Good old Kyler.
I was on the Panthers Reddit page the other day, and one of your tweets was popped up there as one of the most popular discussions of the day.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. All I do is state facts.
He said, I'm not surprised.
All I do is state facts. Numbers don't lie, man.
I ain't mad about it. I think it was your
It was probably about DJ Moore.
No, it was about JC.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
see if I can find it. It's just still up there.
I think he's only given up 4 yards the last 2 games.
Yep.
Highest graded cornerback. Oh, second highest grade, I believe, last week in PFF.
There it is.
Yeah.
Front page, son.
He's a beast. I'm glad. Hopefully he stays healthy.
Oh, you know why? Got the wrong one.
Let's see. Luke said, "What gear did you wear to the game, Rob?" I wore my Saints gear. I rocked the Saints gear mainly because I knew I was going to hang out with Rashad for a minute, so I rocked the Saints gear. And I got some hell walking back to the car. I did. I got some hell walking back to the car. If I hear the phrase "we dat" one more time, I'm gonna lose my damn mind. I'm gonna lose.
Hey
it.
man, we don't get too many victories, so we got to take our victory lap when we get it.
Hey,
so
I'm not mad. If we'd have won, I'd have been talking on the way back to the car too. If you can't take it, don't give it.
You don't know how many times we walked out of that building sad. So we're gonna take our victory lap when it happens.
I get it. I ain't mad. I was talking. There was some. Obviously there was Panthers fans all around him, and I had one dude. I got to talk to this guy sitting behind me, and we were going back and forth, giving each other hell. And we got to the end of the game, and he's like, "Hey man," he said, "Hey man, I just want you to know I don't hate Saints fans anymore because of you." I was like, "All right, good enough for me."
Now Saints are cool, man. I don't have a problem with the Saints. It's the Falcons I don't like.
I can't stand a Falcons fan. Can't do it. I can talk junk with y'all. I can even talk junk with old Buccaneers fans, not the post-Brady Buccaneers fans.
Yeah.
Not the Falcons. Can't do it. The Rob Brown Show is back on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate, broadcasting around the upstate of South Carolina, Greenville, Spartanburg, and all the great metropolitan areas in between. 97.7 FM on one side, 97.1 FM on the other, free on the Odyssey app, and you can listen live around the world anywhere with a speaker and an internet connection at thefanupstate.com. Also, go to the website at thefanupstate.com. We've got our podcast available there. You can listen to every segment, every hour of the show, and our highlight segments right there, including one that we post every Thursday. That is because we talk to my guy, the host of the Panther Nation podcast, or at least one half of it, a guy that I got the opportunity to share a shot with, a shot that ended up being desperately needed by Rob Brown because Rashad's Panthers knocked off my Saints 22-14, their first win in 10 games, their first home win in a calendar year plus, and it had to come at my, not just come at my expense, but had to be, dude, Rashad, I was 8-0 at away Saints games until this weekend. 8-0 down the tubes because of y'all.
Well, I think we found out who that was. We found out who that was.
You dude.
We that. We are that.
We are that, he says. Golly. I knew it like I knew. I thought, how long is it going to be before Rashad aggravates me? And the answer was 47 seconds total. Rashad Beard at Panther Nation PC on social media. Make sure you like and subscribe to the Panther Nation podcast on YouTube as well. Look, dude, defense. The defense is good. J.C. Horn is very rapidly making his way towards being called elite. I think Brian Burns has more quarterback pressures than anybody else in the league at this point. Derek Brown personally told me I could shut the hell up after I criticized him in week 1 because he's been a monster. The Panther, Matt Rule better be buying steak dinners for the Panther defense every damn night, Rashad.
Yeah, the defense definitely carried us. A couple of turnovers, touchdown scored. Without that touchdown, the game is completely different. So, yeah, we needed that defense to step up, and they did just that. We were going up against a broken Jameis Winston. He still had a really good game when you look at the stats. Chris Olave had a great game. They picked on C.J. Henderson a little bit, but overall, the defense did a great job. Brian Burns, like you said, I think he's top 2 now because Micah Parsons did a great job Monday night. But leading second in the league in pressures. J.C. Horn giving up 4 yards over the last 2 games. It's incredible. The defense is playing well. We just need the offense to meet us halfway. If we can get the offense to come along, I think we'll be great. But relying on the defense to do what they did every week is just not sustainable. But we're not going to complain. We got the victory. So we're not going to nitpick. But go Panthers. We that.
Okay, yeah, look, I get it. All right, you can just be cool, Rashad.
Right,
just
last
be cool.
time.
Yeah, no, it's not. You and I both know that's a lie. Rashad Beard here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. And I want to come back to the defense, but offensively, you're right, man. It just there was a struggle, and I think in the first week, maybe 2, there were a lot of folks who were happy to put it at the feet of the offensive line, but the reality is, the offensive line ain't been that bad. I mean, there's still some spots where Icky's showing the growing pains, splits a little bit too large, maybe taking not deep enough of a kick back in that first pass pro, so contact's getting him before he gets a chance to really anchor in and get set. But the offensive line has been getting better game by game. Is it all on Baker? Is it bad chemistry? Is it bad route running? Is it bad play calling? Like, what is stopping the pack? Because look, back-to-back 100-yard games from McCaffrey is great, but unless you're able to start moving the ball around and taking advantage of that, it's not going to matter. What is keeping Matt Rule's offense from taking that next step?
Yeah, I think it's a combination. I mean, you got a lot of people blaming Baker. Baker does have some work. He needs to work on some things. The footwork has been called out by many folks. But you can also add that the play calling, the route combinations aren't that great. So, I mean, people are calling DJ Moore not the best route runner, which I'm not going to disagree with. But when he's open, you got to hit him. I mean, there's so many plays flying around right now. You can find DJ Moore's wide open, and Baker overshoots him. So I think it's a combination. It's easy to blame one person. I'm a big critic of Baker Mayfield, just because I knew what we were getting. But at the end of the day, I think it falls on a lot of people. Offensive line can no longer be blamed. I think they were named Offensive Line of the Week, if I'm not mistaken, by NFL Network, I want to say. But you cannot blame the offensive line anymore. We take them off the table. They're getting better. They're not perfect by any means, but they're playing much better than they were. Baker Mayfield has something that Sam Darnold and Teddy Bridgewater and Cam Newton never had, and that's a solid offensive line. So take that off the table. You got to find it somewhere else. So you're looking at the offensive coordinator, you're looking at Baker Mayfield, and yes, you can look at some of the receivers not getting open. I think it's a combination of those things.
Let me ask you a question that the answer to this question is no. But I'm going to ask it anyway to see if you're going to try to tell me I'm wrong. I saw this, Tuesday on social media, and it was just a couple of people, but I saw a couple of people saying that when Darnold gets back, he should get a crack back at QB1 to show that with a better offensive line, he would be better than we saw out of him last year. Now, the answer to should Sam get another crack at QB1 is no, but I want to hear your thoughts on it.
No, yeah, it's definitely no. I mean, you can't rewind. We're going to do the same thing we did in training camp, try to split these reps, and you're just messing up the chemistry at this point. Baker should have been given the opportunity in training camp to get the chemistry going. This is why we talked about it when it was happening. When I would come on the show and say, hey, dude, why are we splitting reps at training camp with Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold? This is a product of that, right? The chemistry needs to get going. And so I do think Baker's going to get better. And I think, having Sam Darnold push him, for lack of a better term, I think is going to help out. But he should not. Sam should not see the field by any means. We're moving on. Baker's the guy. And I think that should be, we went out and got him. I think that should be the thing. Matt Rule should live by it. He went out, this is third quarterback, fourth quarterback, whatever it is. Roll with it, and let's see what we got.
Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast here on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Let's flip back to those receivers because we have seen, we saw LeVault step up last weekend. The new kid from Jacksonville, a couple of TDs for him. Robbie Anderson has had a couple of touches. DJ Moore, I went and looked. Basically, I think he's got 18 catches through September. But what kind of blew my mind is that the target number is higher, like significantly higher than an acceptable catch rate. And some of that's on Baker throwing bad footballs. But I think there have been a couple that looked bad. And they people wanted to put it on Baker, but it looked to me like there was maybe confusion about the route that was getting run. There was a lot of questions about the heart of Robbie Anderson. Are people starting to question DJ Moore's ability?
Yeah, people are. I mean, it's people. There's a certain section of the fan base that talk about DJ Moore and his production, and he how he's not a true wide receiver one because people need to, or coaches need to manufacture his touches. I'll just say this. DJ Moore has produced with Kyle Allen. He's produced with Teddy Bridgewater. He's produced with Sam Darnold. 1,000-yard receiver for the 3 consecutive years. What's the difference? The quarterback has changed, right? So I don't know what the situation is. They need to get on the same page. But 58% of his targets are catchable. Excuse me. So just about half of his throws are catchable. I mean, that's saying a lot. And people are talking about separation. Separation has been the buzzword of the week. It's like people learn a new vocabulary word and they just want to throw it around. And I challenge that because DJ Moore has 2.3 yards of separation, which is up there with Michael Thomas, or more than Michael Thomas, more than T. Higgins, more than some of these guys that are getting have double his production. So what's the answer to that? I don't know what it is. They need to get on the same page. Baker, Sam Darnold need to get on the same. Baker and DJ Moore need to get on the same page. And whether we got to manufacture the production, let's get DJ Moore the football. It's unacceptable for him to for Laviska Shenault to play one game and have more yards than DJ Moore. It's not acceptable.
Robbie Anderson joining us, Robbie Anderson. Rashad Beard joining us here on the
show.
You
kind of look like him.
You got a little Robbie Anderson. You got a little dog in you. I like it. Rashad Beard joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate, talking a little Carolina Panthers. So, look, it's the first win, and obviously for a fan, you guys are going to celebrate that out all week. And specifically, Rashad, when he gets a chance to rub it in my face, is going to do so all week.
We that.
Time to turn the eyeballs towards Arizona. Now, interesting thing here, you guys have won, 7 in a row against the Cardinals right now? 6 in a row against the Cardinals, going for 7. Dating back to last year, where Carolina was like a double-digit underdog and smoked the Cardinals on the back of an outstanding performance from one Cameron Newton. This time, they got to come to the bank, and weather pending, I may drive up for this game too, because to me, this game is the game, Rashad. It's easy to get up for a divisional rivalry. It's easy to get up for a game that basically counts for 2 in the playoff race. This is the game that I think Carolina announces themselves to the world. Hey, last week was not a fluke. That's how good we are. Especially if you can run Kyler Murray because of the rain, because of how sluggy and nasty that field's going to be. If you guys can put Arizona away, I think this is the game that announces last week was not a fluke. This week's for real.
Yeah, we need it. We need it for confidence because we need to put together another win. This consecutive win is not going to end what happened last year and the year before that. So we need to, like you said, we need to put together that W. I think Arizona is not as bad as what their record shows. They played Kansas City. They played I think the Raiders, and they just played the Rams. So they're not as bad as what they seem. Their stats aren't as bad. I don't think they're as bad as what the stats show. I think it's going to be a tough matchup. We have not lost to the Cardinals since 2008 at home. So we have their number. We don't. I think Kyler Murray is also undefeated against Baker Mayfield. So that's something to watch too. I don't. This is going to be a tough matchup. I don't think it's going to be as easy as some Panthers fans think, just because we won so many games consecutively against them. I think Kyler could get off. I think their receivers are they're not scaring anybody. I think the defense, the secondary has some holes. I think we can take advantage. I think Baker Mayfield, if there's any game, this is the game for Baker Mayfield to get right. I think, ranked 31st in the league in the secondary. They're giving up a lot of pass yards. So, and again, the context of that is they went up against Pat Mahomes and Matt Stafford and such. So there is some context to that. But they have some banged up cornerbacks, and it's time to attack them. If it's raining, it changes the game a little bit. It's going to be who can get the best on the ground. I'm excited for it. We'll see what happens. But like you said, I agree with you. We need to get the W to show that last week was not a fluke.
Talk to me real quick before we let you go. I'm going to go ahead and tell you it's going to be raining on Sunday, right? Like, I'm not a meteorologist. I did not stay in a Holiday Inn Express last night. But it's a big-ass hurricane. It's going to be raining on Sunday. If it is, and when I say rain, I'm not talking like a casual little sprinkle that makes the ball wet. I'm talking about the field at the bank's going to be ugly. If it is wet, if it is standing water, if it is sliding around on the turf day, what does that do to your offense? Do you trust Chuba and McCaffrey? Probably McCaffrey worst of all. I mean, guys more, look, he can power run, but he's a finesse guy. That field gets slippery. It kind of even cuts that out of the equation.
Yeah.
If it becomes a power run 1930 style football game, do you guys have it in it to win the game?
Well, this is why you signed Deontay Foreman. He's that power running back. I think you need to give him the football. He didn't get any carries last week. I think you need to turn him up. You need to give him the rock, and I think we have the guys to overpower the front of the Cardinals. Run behind Icky, run behind Christensen. That's been the winning formula. Run that direction. Give the ball to Deontay Foreman. I think we can win a slug out. I think that's the type of game or the type of offense that Matt Rule really wants to run is this power run offense. But we'll see. I think it's going to be interesting. I think it lends towards our style of play more than it leans towards the style of play of the Cardinals. So I think that the weather's going to win in our favor. I think we can get the W if it's torrential downpour out there.
Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast. You can follow them on social media at Panther Nation PC, but make sure that you are liked up and subscribed to the Panther Nation podcast on YouTube. They go live all the damn time with reactions, including walking through a parking lot harassing Saints fans after games. I saw that. That's not cool, Rashad. Not cool.
I didn't know you saw that.
Yeah, so I didn't saw it. I was sitting in the parking garage watching it, dude. Messed up. Leave my people alone. Rashad, appreciate you, big fella. We'll see you next week.
All right, guys, keep pounding. We that.
That's you would. Get off my stream. Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast, joins us every Thursday at 9:30 to talk a little football. We're back after this, and the next hour is going to be even wilder on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. You thought that we had one more break to go? Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, dude, it's all good, dude. Stay right there, stream. Be right back.
see if we can get some more viewers today.
We back, y'all. We back. Remember, be a goldfish, people. Be
Goldfish.
a goldfish.
All right, I took my jacket off. I'm good.
That's it. Find the swag. Be a goldfish.
Don't forget to give away those tickets today. That's not open?
Was that?
Open.
Hour numero dos of the Rob Brown Show starts right now. This is the Fan Upstate, ladies and gentlemen, and I am outraged this morning. It's not true. I'm not outraged, but I'm going to talk about
I'm
this.
a goldfish.
Be a goldfish, baby. Be a goldfish. If you have not watched Ted Lasso, get the trial of HBO Max. Watch the first 2 seasons of Ted Lasso. Then you can cancel your trial of HBO Max and tell me you're not a better person for Ted. It's so good. It's so good. Be a goldfish. You know why? Goldfish got a 10-second memory. Mistakes are in the past. You can't do nothing about it except move on and be better. Be a goldfish. All right. Eli Manning might need to be a goldfish. During the Manning cast, I adore the Manning cast. All right. The Manning cast is happening during 10 Monday Night Football games. And if the Manning cast is available, I'm watching it over regular Monday Night Football. And it's not to say the guys running Monday Night Football are good. It's a good booth, right? It's not over the top. They've gone over the top with like the Dennis Millers in the past. The guys in the Monday Night Football booth are good. They give you the game. They give you a little insight. It's not over the top. It's good. But the Manning cast is exceptional for a number of reasons. Number one, Peyton and Eli know their football, right? At the end of the day, give me the guys that know their football. Give me the guys that know what they want to talk about and know what they are talking about. But on top of that, I love the Manning cast because it is not scripted, right? You guys have seen my show prep before. I've shared my show prep on the stream. I've told you what my show prep looks like. There are a lot of radio hosts, and I'm talking all the way up to the national level, that script their takes. And that's not bad. If that's what works for you, by all means, do it. But my show is not scripted. I got bullet points. Here are the topics I want to hit. But I don't script my takes. You can tell the difference of when I am reading versus when I'm just giving you a take off the top of my head. Now, that's not to say I make up my takes during the show. I obviously do not. But I got bullet points. Like for this one, the bullet point for this segment very simply says, they coming for Eli? Oh, hell no. And here's why. Love the Manning cast because it's unscripted. The guests are fantastic. During this past Monday's matchup, when Seattle was playing, or excuse me, when Denver was playing, they had on Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee is fantastic, all right? Like, if there is for the record, I am jealous of Pat McAfee's life. Because Pat McAfee is living the life that I want, right? Dude's got his own unscripted, unedited, uncensored podcast where he just goes bananas. He is a talking head on College Game Day, traveling the country talking about football. He is the Friday Night SmackDown announcer. Dude is just living the dream. And on top of all of that, as far as I have been able to tell, he's still just a good dude, right? Just a good guy. Love Pat. Pat is just a better Rob Brown than I am. And it's great. It's great to see. I love it. I love that guy is living his dream. I want to do the same thing, right? So Pat was on the Manning cast. And during the Manning cast, I think it was the second quarter, during the second quarter of that game, Pat McAfee was talking about the fact that there were like 15 punts in a quarter. All right, I'm being a little dramatic, but not terribly dramatic. Oh, it's Cowboys-Giants. What am I talking about? It's Cowboys-Giants. There was like $1 billion worth of Pat McAfee comments in that game because they just kept punting. So during the Denver podcast, when they were talking about the performance of the Broncos offense with Russell Wilson, Eli Manning said during the broadcast, after punt like number 5, quote, they should have paid that punter $235 million instead of Russell, end quote. Talking about Russell Wilson, whose team just could not find the offense. Well, people started coming after Eli Manning. Michael McCarthy of FrontOfficeSports.com quoted Eli as saying, I don't think we're trying to be critical. I think we always try to support the guys that are in the game. I think sometimes, hey, it's live TV. I never try to take a real shot at somebody. I think that was obviously a very outrageous joke because a punter had 10 punts. Nothing against Russell. He's going to do great, end quote. And here is the line in the article written by Mike Florio, who, by the way, I like. All right? I like Mike Florio. Florio wrote into his article on Pro Football Talk, breaking down Eli's walkback. He said, quote, but Eli didn't say they should pay the punter in addition to Wilson. Eli said they should pay the punter instead of Wilson. Oh, the drama. Yeah, no, he did. And what was obviously a joke, my dude, right? Like, I don't, some of you are going to take umbrage with this. I don't think cancel culture is real. I just think we've hit a point in society where social consequences are now real, right? And there are social consequences for being a bad person. Looking at Louis C.K., for instance. Louis C.K. didn't get canceled. Louis C.K. did some awful, awful stuff and paid the price for it, right? Dave Chappelle didn't get canceled. Chappelle got told, hey, you are actually hurting people by telling these jokes that have a bad premise behind them. And Chappelle was like, I'm going to tell the jokes anyway. Okay, that's fine. Nobody has ever told Dave Chappelle you can't tell the jokes. They're just saying, we don't have to listen to you if you do, right? It's not cancel culture. However, I also am a huge fan of comedy. Big fan of comedy. From stand-up down to dad jokes. I'm a big fan of comedy, right? An ignition key walks into the bar. Bartender says, hey, don't start nothing in here. Right? Like, that's a great joke to me. It's terrible, but it's a great joke. I think some people do get to a point where they are willing to twist reality in order to be offended. It is one thing if the premise of a joke is bad. If the premise of the joke is bad, if the target of the joke is a bad group to target, that's one thing, right? I'll give you one guy that I think has made an excellent point in Ricky Gervais, right? Ricky Gervais made some jokes in the past that got him into some hot water. And Gervais made the point of, no. You're missing the context of the joke. I am not making a joke that targets this person for who or what they are. That's not the target of the joke. They are they are involved in the joke, but they're not the target of the joke. I think sometimes people are willing to twist reality in order to try to be offended. If anybody is getting offended on behalf of Russell Wilson, when Eli said maybe they should have paid the punter $235 million instead of Russell, I don't care. If that, and I'm sure there's probably like 17 people in America that actually got offended by that, and Russell Wilson and Sierra were two of them, right? But Florio with his take of Eli Manning said he didn't say the punter should be paid in addition to Russell. He said paid instead of. The punter punted 10 times in that game. If you ask a punter to punt 10 times, you are asking the punter to be the guy who manages field position. That's the quarterback's job, man. You are asking him to be the field general instead of the quarterback. It's obviously a joke. Nobody's paying a punter $235 million. It's never happened before. It'll never happen. Okay? It just never will. Nobody believes that Eli believes that Russell Wilson should not have been paid the money because it should have gone to the punter. The target of the joke, the context of the joke, is that a game in which Russell Wilson's making $235 million to play, Russell Wilson couldn't get a first down. And therefore, the punter was called into service to manage field position, the quarterback's job. The joke is that if Russell Wilson isn't doing his job good enough, that the punter has to be called out 10 times in an NFL game, that maybe the $235 million wasn't the best investment of all time, right? And that's true. That's why when the $235 million contract came out, we all went, what? You're paying him how much? As a what? 36-year-old quarterback who maybe doesn't have the mobility that he used to? 33-year-old quarterback who doesn't have the mobility he used to? You're paying him what? Almost $250 million you're paying him? And then he can't get first downs against Denver? He can't get a first down. You're not coming after Eli for this. You're not coming after Eli for this. Look, do I think that it is possible on a live broadcast to say some stuff that is maybe a little too bad? Yeah, of course I do. I've been in radio for 15 years. I got no doubt that if you went and dug through the Rob Brown archives, especially from, because this is the second year of the Manning Cast, year 1 and 2 of the Rob Brown show back in the Destin, Fort Walton Beach Panhandle area, I'll bet you'll find some stuff that even I would go, Rob, don't say that.
Yeah, oops.
Don't say that, 2007, Rob. Not your best take, young man, right? Of course you're going to find some stuff. I got no doubt. But my goodness, if you crack down on every joke, like Mike Florio, relax. Here's his end of his podcast, or of his article on this. Eli's trying to have it both ways. He wants to be entertaining on the Manning Cast, but he also doesn't want to burn bridges. Sometimes he'll be on the wrong side of that line, and when he is, he should just own it and move on. And if he has to do some private damage control after the fact, so be it. But he shouldn't act like he didn't say exactly what he did. And if he worries too much about saying things that others may not like, the Manning Cast is going to be far less compelling and entertaining than it has been. Eli. I know Eli's a big fan. I know he's probably watching the stream right now, if I had to guess. the Mannings, big fans of the Rob Brown Show. All right, Eli. I thought your joke was freaking hilarious. All right, I thought it was hilarious. I really did. I thought the crack was perfect. I heard it live, and I genuinely laughed at it. It was funny. Nobody thinks that you genuinely suggest that they should take Russell Wilson's $235 million and give it to the punter. The context of the joke was, that's a lot of money to pay for a quarterback who's not producing first downs. And if Russell's mad at you, then tell Russie he and his Fifi should take a nap and have some mac and cheese, and they'll feel fine after a nappy nap. Nobody cares. I'm going to take a break. When we come back, Captain America Chris Evans down the hall is going to join us for a segment. Because we had a conversation going on in the office this morning before the show started. That was two parts. Number one, I wanted to know if I informed a not hardcore sports fan, casual sports fan at absolute most, if I informed them of what Aaron Judge's 61st home run ball was actually worth, what would they want back for that ball? And then Chris asked me a great question, which was, how do they authenticate the baseballs that Albert Pujols hit for number 700 or that Aaron Judge hit for 61? So I went and I looked that up, and it's a really interesting answer. I'll tell you that when we come back on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Outstanding.
All right.
Yeah, that's okay. I don't have the.
Timmy, was that on? Oh, it was on Twitter. All right, I will go find that. I will go find that because I love my own entertainment. I don't think did you hear Russell Wilson's clapback? He said, "I'm 3-0 versus Chad Powers." Yeah, you're good. That's a great clapback. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. It's just smack talk, man. It's just a little fun. Appreciate that, Lester. I'm gonna go find that. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I love that. All right, give me 30 seconds. Be right back. Don't go anywhere. Stream.
All my music is in.
All right, we're back. Stream.
And
I just got an email for my 20-year high school reunion. I don't like that. Kids who were born after I graduated high school have graduated high school.
What was it was Rashad? What's this podcast?
What do I know?
What is Rashad's podcast?
Panther Nation podcast.
Do you remember what we talked about in the very second segment?
Say that again?
Do you remember what we talked about in the second segment? It's all right. I'll
a long time ago. Oh, NC State versus Clemson. Is there a grudge? Excellent timing. Oh, yeah. I don't want to change my password again.
Mike 3. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Crisis in the swing studio. And we're getting a dishwasher installed in the kitchen. So, just all kinds of fun today.
Remember, we're on the stream, Chris, so don't use dirty language like you do in the office all the time.
Right. I do remember how to be on the air.
I was telling Tim that I just received an email about organizing my 20-year high school reunion.
Okay.
I don't like that feeling.
Yeah.
I don't like that feeling at all.
I understand.
It's a bad feeling.
Just think about how far you've come.
Not very.
I disagree.
Not very. I was gonna make jokes, but they all make me sound ungrateful, so I shan't.
See, that's what
So
I mean.
shan't.
If you actually acknowledge.
Albert Pujols has slugged number 700 in his career. Aaron Judge last night hit number 61 on the season, tying him with Roger Maris for the most all-time in the American League. And if you are anti-Sosa, McGuire, and Bonds, making him tied for the all-time single-season overall Major League Baseball record if you ignore everybody with an asterisk next to their name. And I'm bringing in Captain America Chris Evans down the hall here to chat with us a little bit, because Chris is, I suspect, and correct me if I'm incorrect here, Chris, the majority of the extent of your interaction with the sports world is basically sitting in my office most days.
I try to be objective. I like watching people, humanity do amazing things.
Sure.
And so I like, and it's not just necessarily that I'm in it for the highlights, but that would be an easy way to describe it. I like watching the Olympics, the best people at their sports. I like watching amazing plays in football and baseball and things like that. But I don't have a team. I don't care about colors. I'm not on board for any of the regular fan stuff.
He laughs hysterically when your team is to fall upon hard times. If he finds out that him asking
I laugh
questions dooms your
hysterically at
team.
how superstitious the real fans are because they think that I had something to do with their
Yeah.
Saints losing. to
Yeah,
Carolina.
I'm the same way. It's almost the same exact way.
For the record, and I recognize this is very dumb, as somebody who goes through life pretty much with the mantra of
Do you avoid walking under ladders?
I know, I don't. I don't care. I will walk under a ladder, step over a broken mirror while holding a black cat because none of those things are real. Ghosts
But if
aren't
you
real.
don't have the right jersey on during game day.
Let me put it this way. I am now on Saints shirt number 3 for the season. We won in week 1.
The other two didn't work.
Let me go one step further. Week 1, the lady friend and I went to a particular watering hole of which she is a big fan. And like her and all her friends have gathered there for years on NFL Sunday. And so this year, she's like, let's go over there. All my friends are going to be there. I'm like, absolutely, let's go. And in week 1, we went there. And the Saints beat the Falcons on a walk-off field goal. Last play of the game, won. And I'm like, great, we'll be here next Sunday. Week 2, we lost to Tampa. I was like, all right, that place is out. She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I'm not going back there. And she's like, right, but like that's where all my friends go on Sundays. And I'm like, well, then tell them I said hi. I don't know I'm not going back there. And she...
Clearly that place is cursed.
Absolutely. And I won't for the rest of the season.
New Orleans, you would know about curses.
Absolutely. Don't believe in them except sports, all right? I get it. It's dumb, and I acknowledge that. Now, the reason that I brought Chris in here is because we were having a conversation about 3 people in particular. The guy who caught Aaron Judge's 60th home run. Now, that's a milestone. Because obviously 60 just being a nice even number, and we like even numbers, but also nobody else had hit 60 except the guy who hit 61, not counting the juicers, right? And the guy who caught that baseball turned it back into the Yankees in return for an Aaron Judge signed Yankees jersey, baseball bat and baseball. And I asked Chris, without telling you the value of that baseball, estimated value of that baseball, if you're a not Yankees fan, not Judge fan, and in your case, not sports fan, more a fan of watching the absolutely ridiculous nature of sports fans,
right,
and you caught that baseball, what would you have, A, done with it, and B, wanted in return for it?
And it's an interesting question and my response is basically that I have no context for what something like that is worth.
And that's why I'm asking. If you don't know the value,
I have no idea. It would kind of have to be explained to me. Like I presumably you were mentioning that the Yankees organization comes up to the person holding the ball and says, "We'd like to have a conversation with you about getting that ball back," and I'd be like, my first reaction would probably be like, no, I caught the ball. I'm taking it home. Like because again, I don't recognize what it's worth or why they want it. And even if it's explained to me, even if I have some idea that it's valuable, I'm not going to trade it for other sports stuff that I don't care about. I'm going to ask them to build me a man cave with every single console ever made. And I was like, because I just want to play some video games. I don't care about your baseball. I want to sit and go back and get old school on an Atari 2600, or give me a Corvette, like one of the new ones that looks like a Lamborghini. Like that's because I'm into driving more than I am into any sort of sport.
Sure.
That's my sport of choice, driving. I like doing that. But I don't know. I don't know what I would want for it. I'm going to want something that they're going to go, "Why are you we can't a Corvette? No, I can't. I don't have a Corvette to give you. I can get you a signed Aaron Judge, baseball bat and ball."
I I've always found it interesting because the answer is I don't know what I would do with the ball, right? And I think it's the best way to put it because as a hardcore sports fan, though I'm not a Yankees fan or an Aaron Judge fan, I'm a big Albert Pujols fan, though not a Cardinals fan. Like I wonder how much of it would be impacted based on your feeling toward the guy who did it, right? Because for me, like I would ask in return for the Albert Pujols ball. I'd be like, I want dinner with Albert Pujols or a round of golf with Albert Pujols. I just want to spend like 4 hours just talking baseball with one of the best players of all time. Like, let me get a picture, a signed jersey, a hat, like a baseball bat,
an experience.
Right,
I want
like
an experience.
correct. But I'm the same dude that like if I see a sports figure in an airport, I don't ask for autographs.
Yeah.
I've never really understood autographs, right? This is one of the very few things
let
that
me spend a couple minutes talking to you.
I am happy with, can I grab a selfie? Like, I actually feel like, and again, I understand, like, I also am the dude that if I see a dude in the airport, I don't approach them, right? Because I'm like, these are people, and I think we forget that sometimes. Yeah. But if I got the, like, if I go to a Panthers training camp and Christian McCaffrey walks over to me, that is the moment when that's what these guys are here for. They are here for that. And, you know, if I had a football in one hand that I could have him autograph, I would still rather go, can I spin around and get a selfie with you? Like, can I mark this moment in time with a picture that I can put somewhere and look and go, hey, it's that time I met Christian McCaffrey.
Let me throw this ball to you. You know,
just anything. Yeah. There was a kid at camp this year, Baker Mayfield, the new quarterback for the Panthers, came over. And a kid, when he came over, he like had his pen, and a kid's like, hey, Baker, paper, rock, scissors for your hat. And Baker's like, you got it. And they did it. And he beat Baker, and Baker gave him, like, signed it and gave him the hat. But I'm like, the cooler thing is, Pops is right there with the phone videoing, and now forever you will have this memory of you playing like, that's way cooler than an autograph.
Well, and that's why I said the other thing that I said is once the value of this thing is impressed upon me, I don't want to talk to the Yankees organization anymore. Whoever their rep is that's come down here and asked me for this ball, I want to talk to Aaron Judge.
Right.
Whatever negotiation we're going to have, I want it to be with him because it's his ball in my mind. It's not the Yankees. I mean, I get that it's the Yankees' ball, and if he's got some sort of obligation to hand it over to them afterward, that's his problem. That's part of his contract. But I want to talk to him. He hit that ball. I want to talk to him.
I think the thing
I want to give the ball to him.
Right. I think the thing for me would be something along the lines of, I'll tell you what I want for the ball, which, by the way, is now hidden in a secret compartment that I've dug in a hole somewhere in New York City. I will bring that ball with me when I get to come to Yankee Stadium and have batting practice with Aaron Judge as my batting coach,
an
right?
Experience.
Yeah, something good. And I'll bring the ball, and that to me would be worth the money. That being said, does your opinion change if I tell you that I would guess that ball is going to auction off for $1 million one day? Because to me, to me, batting practice at Yankee Stadium, taking BP with Aaron Judge as my batting coach, like that's an experience nobody gets.
Yeah,
no, I would be the only American who has gotten
anybody with $1 million can buy that ball.
Correct, but anybody can have the ball. That being said, I can't walk down to the Ferrari dealership and be like, I'd like that one in black with black leather, and they're going to be like, great, how are you going to pay for it? And I'm going to go, I took BP with Aaron Judge one day. Like, that's not, they're not going to accept that.
That's the thing. Anybody with $1 million is going to be able to put a bid in at the auction and have a chance to get that ball. I mean, it's ultimately only going to go to one person.
To a rich guy.
Whoever the highest bidder is. But that same guy couldn't take that amount of money and go to the Yankees and say, hey, I want to spend this on batting practice with Aaron Judge.
Correct.
That's an experience that you get to have that you have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to trade for just because you have this valuable object.
I agree entirely.
That's why you ask for an experience in that case.
So that led us to a second question that Chris asked me.
And you told me this story, which is what brought it up.
So the story goes that after Albert Pujols hit his 700th home run, there are only 4 baseball players in Major League history that have gone yad 700 times, right? 4 in total.
I'm sorry, yad?
Yad. Yeah, it's Boston way of saying yard, which is going yard as a home run.
Thank
Yad. At Fenway Park, you take the cat in the pack and watch Big Pappy go yad.
Understood.
So the guy who caught Albert Pujols' 700 ball effectively caught the ball, did a Jim Halpert from the offense look at a camera, and then James Bonded his ass out of the stadium. Just like Batman, puff of smoke, gone from the stadium.
Jim Gordon turns around and he's just
gone.
Yeah.
Gone. Yes. So the reason why is because in a situation like that, the team,
he recognizes the value of that thing.
And the team is going to instantly send security and PR to you. Like, we need that ball back. Let's negotiate it right now while the game's still happening. And this guy was like, nah, let me take it home and think about this. So he Splitsville and was just vanished. And Chris asked the question, how do you validate that baseball, right? Because couldn't he just show up at the park the next day and be like, this is the ball, and just have
says Rawlings on it?
Especially considering at most ballparks now, one of the things that you can do is, because listen, they go through something like 100 balls a game. Every time a ball hits a bat or the ground, that ball's discarded. Right. A ball may live literally one pitch in Major League Baseball.
I remember looking this stat up because this is one of the things that I find interesting about sports is just the weird numbers. And I know that baseball is a game of numbers. I remember reading, I don't know if this is accurate anymore, but the average life of a Major League Baseball is 8 pitches.
Yeah, it's in that ballpark. According to the I didn't even do that one on purpose. According to the Athletic, they'll use between 8 and 10 dozen baseballs in every Major League game. And in stadiums now, like you can go to Atlanta, you can go to Truist Park, and right behind home plate in the concourse, there is a fan store, and you can use, you can purchase, ballpark. I'm bad at math.
I'm good at math.
You can purchase a game-used ball. And on the side of the box is a QR code that you can scan, and it will tell you exactly what game that ball was used in.
Cool.
There's one guy on Twitter who has gotten very good at utilizing like context and marks on the baseball to basically sleuth out what balls it could be from a game. So you can go be like, I just bought this game, it's from this game, and here's what it looks like. And he'll go, based on the analysis here, it's one of these like 7 baseballs. And he can, in a couple of cases, he's been going, this is the ball. It was this foul ball or right. Which is really interesting, but how do you know my guy doesn't go to the store, buy like another game used baseball, show up the next day and be like, this is it, and then keep the real one? So we looked that up because I was genuinely curious about it. And the New York Times actually did an entire article on this that is now going to make me log in to read it because of course it is.
Because of course, yeah.
But basically what it says off the top of my head, I'm really glad that I read it in there before I came in here. There are a couple of things that they do. For milestone. They don't do this for every baseball. But when they know there's a milestone coming up, Pujols was sitting on $6.99 for a week. Yeah.
That was the interesting thing to me is that they're prepared for these milestones.
So when Pujols got to $6.99 and when Judge got to $59, because 60 was a milestone, 61's a milestone, they do 2 things. Number 1, they prepare a special batch of baseballs. Only to be used when those guys are at the dish. So when a Judge or when Pujols came to the dish, the umpire would reload his saddlebags with a special 24 group of baseballs that are only for that guy. And there are 2 different identifying features. Number 1, that ball will get a special code visible printed on it, and that those balls will all have their own code. But then baseball apparently also has, and they don't describe what it is, but they also put some sort of invisible watermark on the ball, and then they have the tech to do it. Now, my first thought was like, okay, invisible ink and a black light. But still, unless
it could be that simple.
It could be that simple, because unless you're the one who catches that baseball and actually finds it, you don't know what baseball. They could have just. I mean, they could have drawn a smiley face on it,
an RFID tag,
whatever,
or something,
and just in a mark that only shows up under a black light or whatever type of machine they use. But then there's a third thing they do, which is they send a sports memorabilia authenticator who just walks behind that guy. And every time they take off a batting glove, it's authenticated and stamped. Every time they swing a bat, authenticated and stamped. Every time they take off their helmet at the end of the game, authenticated and stamped. And they take it.
They just take everything.
Obviously, the ones that are useful. I mean, if Aaron Judge, like 2 days ago, he got walked 4 times because nobody wants to be the pitcher who gives up the mile. So you're gonna be a pub trivia question for the rest of your life, and nobody wants that, right? So they follow him around. And every time that, or when he hits that milestone, the batting gloves, the bat, the helmet, the jersey.
To interrupt you. Isn't that fascinating? If you strike out the guy who's about to hit his milestone, you're not going to be a pub trivia question.
Nope.
But that's a bigger feat than giving up the run.
Yeah, but look, Aaron Judge has struck out, I don't know, 150 times this year.
That's kind of what I mean. It's like you did your job better,
right?
And you get less recognition.
Right. It's less famous and more infamy, right?
Yeah, I know. But
anyway, they send an authenticator who just follows Aaron Judge or Albert Pujols around.
All of that stuff.
Right. So I was telling Chris this story back in high school. Well, actually back in like elementary, middle school. At a very dear friend, Joey Myers. His dad, Rob, was a sports.
Another Rob.
Another Rob. There's literally dozens of us.
If you insist.
Owned a sports memorabilia shop. In the fortress of nerditude in there, I have 3 autographs hanging up. I have an Archie Manning autograph that I got from Archie Manning himself, Saints fan. That's like, that's royalty to me. A Deion Sanders autograph from when Deion played for the Cowboys, and a Ken Griffey Jr. autograph from when he played for the Mariners. And Rob Myers gave me the Deion and the Ken Griffey Jr. He ran a sports memorabilia shop, and I remember even at the time being like, I can mimic an autograph. How do I know that this is? And Rob was like telling me how
they're basically just scribbles.
Yeah, most of them are. But he was telling me the process of when you are going to get to the point where you have like a license to authenticate sports memorabilia, there are hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of classes you have to go down to, and including learning how to
certification, I'm sure.
100%. And you have to learn like how to be, it's like FBI level analysis on how to make sure that a signature is an authentic stroke of the pen and not like slowly mimicking a guy. Because there's ways that, if it lifts off the pen, off the pad a certain way or contacts a certain way, that's the indication of intent as opposed to just kind of the natural flow. It takes months and months and months to get whatever certification that you need in order to be able to certify this stuff. So baseball finds one of those people that has that, but then even more than that, they're like, and by the way, you're literally going to be in that guy's back pocket until that milestone gets hit. Right. So when he takes that batting glove off, you're the only person to touch it. And you put the stamp and the signature on it, and you lock that bad boy when it goes straight to Major League Baseball, so that they have not only the authentication, but the proof that nobody else touched that bat or ball or glove or whatever. So that to me is really interesting. But check this out. How about this text that came in a couple of minutes ago? Let me go back and find it. Here it is. Fan Phil Ozerski caught Mark McGwire's 70th home run ball. The Cardinals offer the ball for a signed bat, ball, and jersey. Ozerski says he also wants to meet McGwire. McGwire says no. Ozerski backs out. 3 months later, Ozerski sells the ball for $3.05 million. So my question is, this guy said bat, ball, jersey, meet and greet with Big Mac. That takes what? 10 minutes of Mark McGwire's life, including signing all 3 autographs.
Right.
He said, no. You don't give me the experience of meeting Big Mac, I'm keeping the ball. I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, I don't care if you already have $3 million. $3 million is a life-changing amount of money. My life would never be the same. Y'all would never see me again for just $3 million. $3 million. And that would be the thought that's in there. If I catch Pujols' 700th, if I catch Judge's 61, my immediate reaction is, this is $3 million. It's $3 million. Is it worth it to take BP with Aaron Judge for $3 million? Because it is a lifetime experience. I have bought, for instance, when after Hurricane Katrina, we got to go to break here in a minute. After Hurricane Katrina.
I'm getting calls.
Yeah, I know, it's chilly in here. After Hurricane Katrina.
Calls. People are
Oh,
calling
calls.
me to
People.
do my job.
Screw them. This is more important. I thought you said cold. After Hurricane Katrina, the Superdome got wrecked. September 25th, 2006. The Saints come back to the Superdome. They do this big whole thing. I bought tickets to that game for legitimately like $250. And my mom was like, "Are you insane? 200 for a football ticket to sit
Oh yeah.
in the fear of heights
You
section?"
got to bring an oxygen tank.
Correct. She's like, "Are you insane?" That game went on TV. Before the game started, my mother texted me and was like, "I regret that I didn't go," right? Because it was such a memory and experience that $250, I'd have paid $1,000 to have that experience. But there's a lot of difference between $250,000 and $3 million.
Yeah. Orders of magnitude.
Yeah. I think I got to tell you, I think I want the $3 million. I'll just buy all the luxury boxes at Yankee for a game and enjoy that. All right. Anyway, so Chris had me learn something today. Thanks, buddy.
You're welcome.
Appreciate
Anytime I can help.
Catch Chris October 15th live on the Upstate Pulse stream when we play episode 2 of Radio D&D. T2 will be there too. Thanks, pal.
I will.
Let's take a break. We'll come back after this. Wrap up hour number 2. Hour number 3, we will bat leadoff with Kevin Thomas and John Epps from the Moving the Chains podcast. Why on a Thursday, you ask? Because all the high school games got moved to tonight due to Hurricane Ian. To open up the 11 o'clock hour, we will have Kevin and John. Next segment, I'll give you a thought. On what the ramifications of Hurricane Ian might be on some of the games taking place in the upstate this weekend. And then it's pretty much open lines the rest of the way. Whatever y'all want to talk about, hit me up on the text line, 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N. We'll read them on the air back after this on The Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate.
I'll be right back.
Yes, sir. Trey, I will bring that up in the next segment, buddy. Stay tuned. Speaking of, let me find out some info on that. I'll be right back. All right, I just called. I just called Chris Lewis of the Triumph, and he said as of right now, the Triumph are scheduling their game as normal on Saturday. I need to look at the Saturday forecast. Let's see here. Can I get to where's I need Saturday?
I know Furman is still on.
Yeah. Saturday, October 1st. Expected showers. Oh, only around 40% at nighttime. So we might dodge the bullet. All right, so we're obviously keeping a eyeball on Hurricane Ian and the ramifications that it will have here in the upstate. First and foremost, I hope that you will all keep your thoughts and attention turned to the folks of the Florida Peninsula as they continue to get battered by this thing right now. I've seen some images and some videos coming out down there, and it is gnarly right now. Those people are going to need some help when we're done. So let's just all pay attention for whatever we can do to help the folks down in Florida. As far as our direction, it looks like we are going to get some stuff on Friday. As of right now, forecasted at 100% chance of rain on Friday, possibly up over 1 inch, with some in particular spots getting hammered with heavy rainfall. But Saturday's forecast is interesting. We are expected to see rain showers early in the day, overcast skies in the evening, with the chance of rain falling to under 35% at that point. So we might very well get away with Saturday being relatively calm, which would be exceptionally nice. I'm pulling up the Saturday forecast right now. Overall day, 42% chance of showers, falling off from upwards of 99% on Friday. But Saturday evening might be okay. It won't be a pretty night. We won't get those orange and purple sunsets that we love so much in the upstate of the Carolinas. But we should theoretically have a pretty good day on Saturday evening. It'll be chilly, low of 56, high in the mid 60s. I just spoke with the president of the Greenville Triumph, Chris Lewis. Chris said, as of right now, the plan is for the Triumph Saturday evening to go on with their game as normal. As of right now, that is the same for the Clemson Tigers. That is the same right now for the Furman Paladins. I will also tell you that earlier this morning, we had a discussion with Drew Ingram. Drew is the senior associate athletic director at Furman. They are having a meeting right now discussing what Saturday is going to look like. They are saying as of right now the game will be played, and that Friday's weather is looking to be the worst of it, so they're hoping Saturday will be wet and or Saturday morning will be wet and windy, and hopefully by the afternoon they will be in good shape to carry on as planned. So that being said, I'll tell you what, I'll give you a minute to prep. Coming up to open up the next hour, now that we know that as of right now, the Furman game is scheduled to take place as planned on Saturday, coming up in the next hour, we are going to open the last hour, with your chance to win a pair of tickets to this Saturday's Furman v. Samford game. and to get yourself entered into a drawing to win the grand prize. The full VIP fan experience would include a bit of tailgating, priority parking, the opportunity to go out onto Paladin Field, get your picture made, and to tour the press box with Dan Scott, the voice of the Furman Paladins. That is going to be what we do to bat leadoff in the next hour. So let's run to our top of the hour break. And when we come back in the next hour, we'll be joined by Kevin Thomas and John Epps of the Moving the Chains podcast. They're going to run us through tonight's football slate at the high school level. So stay around for that. And then we will not have Lonzo. Unfortunately, I texted Lonzo earlier. He's a little bit under the weather. So no Lonzo today. We'll do Fight Club anyway because I'm here and I want to. It's my show. Get off me. T2, the Timinator, playing a little jazz music for us. My name is Rob Brown. The Rob Brown Show's on the radio. This is the Fan Upstate. I'm going to go get those boys. Stay tuned, stream. I got to go let Kevin and John into the building. I will be right back. The third, the final, the best, the money hour of the Rob Brown Show starts now. This is the Fan Upstate. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rob Brown, T2, the Timinator, filling in for the great one. Lonzo out on vacation this week. We are joined now, as we are every Friday, except it's not Friday, it's Thursday, because it's not a normal Friday. We are going to be monsooned tomorrow, it looks like. The wind, look at the wind, the trees kicking around already as we are awaiting the arrival of whatever will be left of Hurricane Ian when it gets here. Friday into Saturday, there will be ramifications throughout the rest of the weekend, though we don't know how dramatic they're going to be yet. So, most of the high school football games around the area scheduled for tomorrow are being played this evening. So, my man Kevin Thomas in the building from the Moving the Chains podcast. You can find them at movingchains.com. No G in that. Movingchains.com. It is also Moving Chains on Facebook, on Twitter, and Instagram. And you can find the Moving the Chains podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever major podcasts are found. What's up, KT?
Rob, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Doing well. Doing like you said, just kind of preparing for this, taking some furniture off the porch, making sure we don't have any blow away into the neighbors' yards, and fun stuff like that.
What a weird week.
Yeah, wow.
What an exhausting week. Like, I'm kind of excited Saturday is going to be crappy because I don't have to make up babe, we got to get up and cut the grass. No, we don't. No, we don't. I'll tell you what we got to do. We got to watch Lee and Kirk inside at Clemson and get ready for college football. That's all we got to do.
Yeah, exactly right. Stay indoors. Don't be out in the rain yourself, and have a good time.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. We got some football tonight, ladies and gentlemen, and because I am selfish and always want to make it about myself. Burns, 5-1 after a freaking heartbreaker of an L last week on the road at West Florence. They were up by a trio of points late in the game. All they needed to do was hold West Florence because the momentum was with Burns until the last drive, and West Florence walks them off on a 32-yard touchdown pass as the time went off the clock. Let's start with what I think is the biggest factor of all in this one, Kevin. Defensively, they were banged up. 7 linebackers on this roster. By the end of that game, 5 of them were hurt. They had to bring Elijah Barnes, who is a wide receiver, over to play linebacker, and he is built like a wide receiver, not a linebacker, to the point that there were a couple of plays where Elijah was having to run to the sideline to get taught his assignment for the next play, filling in at linebacker. I thoroughly believe that a fully healthy Burns defense wins this football game, but that's just how football works. You got to roll with the punches. That being said, Burns tries to rebound tonight. They are on the road at Spartanburg. The Vikings are 3-3, but the 5-1 of the Rebels, the 3-3 of the Vikings, none of that matters because now we're in regional play. It's playoff seeding. What do you like in this one?
This is going to be a really fun game, Rob. Obviously being a short week, I feel like that hurts Burns with the injury side of it. You don't have time to get anybody healthy, really, playing on Thursday night. And they got to figure something out offensively. Last game, R.J. Livingston ran the ball well, but they couldn't get the pass game going with Colby Shaw, who had been strong throughout the year. They got to find a way to get those playmakers, Bomar and Cook, involved out wide, Weaver and guys like that. Spartanburg, one of the best quarterbacks in the state, Raheem Jeter, big-time D1 player. I think he's uncommitted right now, but he's got a lot of big offers there. Heating up, went 12 for 15 last week, 3 touchdowns. Running back Dreek Carter, wide receivers Andrew Danton, and the Singer kid are really good players for them there. I think you lean the home team maybe on these short weeks like this. With things being odd, at least you have one stable of knowing where you're playing your games for the home team. I think I'm going to lean Spartanburg here due to Burns' health issues and also the Vikings being at home tonight.
Yeah, there were a couple of guys last week, James Oates being one of them at the linebacker spot, Deshaun Briggs, another one at the linebacker spot. Guys that probably could have gone. In fact, Deshaun Briggs, with his ankle, did dress. He played a couple of games, or played a couple of snaps, and he came out. He didn't come out because he couldn't continue, but basically there was just a little hesitancy on that ankle, and they're like, you know what, we just want to save you for Spartanburg. Let's give you the extra night off to kind of rest and recoup, so he did not come back in. They should get those 2 guys back tonight, but RJ came out of the game like 3 different times last week, workhorse on offense. But I think you're right. They've got to get the passing game going to take the weight off of RJ Livingston. Colby Shaw had easily his worst game, but you also got to look at Wes Florence, who has got probably one of the better defensive back pieces, really sets, maybe in the entire state of South Carolina. That was always going to be his toughest game pre-region. That being said, Money and Kai have got to get open for him tonight.
Yeah, you're right. Kelvin Hunter, Franklin Emerson are really good players there for West Florence on the back end of their secondary, and Colby just couldn't get it going. Like you said, they're going to have to find a way to get those guys involved, whether it's maybe a jet sweep or a quick screen, whatever it is. You got to get the ball in those playmakers' hands because they're going to need a couple big plays here to beat Spartanburg tonight. All
right, let's take a look at a couple of other games that are going on. Powdersville has a big one. They're coming off of the bye. They got a 34-19 the win the week before that off the legs of Thomas Williams, a $191 and 3 touchdowns in this one. Powdersville, the home team, at 4-1. Tell me a little bit about that game.
I told you a second ago, I think I'm leaning home teams this week. I'm also leaning teams coming off a bye because that gives you, basically you got to get a little bit of prep in last week for this team you're playing this week on the short week. So I think Powdersville is going to have some scheme stuff where BHP maybe they're just kind of rolling the ball out there and playing. So I like Powdersville. Thomas Williams is a stud. Ran all over this team last year for them. But BHP, Marquise Henderson's a really good player for them. Multiple through the air and on the ground. Ran for 101. Received for 83 last week. 3 touchdowns. Quarterback A.J. Pendleton, 17 for 18 there. The Bears have a good defense. They should be able to test Powdersville. I think the Patriots have a little too much firepower. And what's crazy about this, Rob, it's a region game. Probably the 2 best teams in the region playing here in the first week of play, which kind of stinks, but will be a fun game. I like the Patriots in this one, though. 17 of 18. Yeah, that's tough, huh?
I can't whistle, but if I could, that's where I would have done it. All right.
Pretty impressive.
That's solid. Greenville's 2-3 there at Westside. Westside 4-1. And you've got the note here that these might be the best 2 teams in their region.
Yeah, another game moved actually to Monday. This one is here. We're actually going to try to catch that on Monday night there. Greenville started out 0-3. They've won 2 in a row now. They've got the Bryson Drummond kid playing quarterback. Really good job there. He's done the last couple weeks.
Former Fan Upstate Player of the Week.
That's right. He is balling right now, throwing the ball to Mazio Bennett, Tyler Brown out wide. Obviously, Pepper and Sherman running the ball there. Westside is, started off with a weird loss to BHP early in the year. They've came back and they've blown everybody out since then. I think they're averaging 33 offensively, giving up 13. Freshman quarterback Cutter Woods is throwing at Jameer Boston, having a really good game there. They blew out TL Hanna 45-7, who beat Greenville earlier in the year. This game at home is a big plus for the Rams. They got that offense rolling there, but Greenville coming off a bye week. I think that's a big plus for them. Like I said, they got some scheme stuff in there. I think the Red Raiders win this one. It should be a very, very close, very, very fun ball game Monday night.
This one's interesting, and I'll tell you, you look at Greenville's 2-3 record, and I think it kind of betrays the capability of that team a little bit. We got the chance to see Pepper play and Brown play in person. They have got some daggum explosive playmakers. There were a couple of spots where Pepper, and this was when Burns was fully healthy on defense, couple of plays, couple of wildcat looks where Pepper just diced right up the gut of that defense. This is a team that if they find a rhythm, and with the extra week to scheme, you'd like to think they will, if they find any sort of rhythm on offense, they can churn out 8 and 9 minute drives and just prevent Westside from even having the ball to utilize theirs.
Yeah, their 3 losses are of all 5A teams: TL Hanna, Burns, and Dormans. Like, there are no slouches they lost to at all. Coach Porter always schedules tough. And I think, like I said, I think that bye week helps them. I will say playing Monday is better for Westside than playing Thursday. They get a little extra practice time in there, you'd feel like, and Scott Early does a great job over there. I just think that Greenville, a little too much talent. Like I said, that 2-3 record doesn't look the best, but they're a much more talented team than that.
Talk to me a little bit about TL Hanna at Malden. We talked about TLH just a minute ago, but at Malden, and the Mavs got to get a dub here.
Yeah, they've played a few teams tight for like a quarter or a half, but they can't put a full game together.
Yep.
They've got a very good secondary. It sounds like they get a lot of turnovers and whatnot, which doesn't help them out against TL Hanna, who runs the ball a ton.
Yeah.
TL Hanna's going to try to grind you out. You got to keep it low scoring if you're TL Hanna. I think the Yellow Jackets win this one, but Malden is a team that always tends to kind of sneak up and beat somebody in region play they probably shouldn't. Might be this week on the weird week, the short week, playing at home, whatnot. But I think you got to lean TL Hanna here in this one.
Those kind of teams you talk about, a team that's really good in first half or second half. And Burns has kind of been that way this year too. A team that, and they even did it to some degree last week against West Florence. In fact, the stat line, I looked at it, Burns is averaging and I don't have the numbers right in front of me. They were on my prep sheet last week, 9 points in the first quarter, 7 in the second, and then 28 in the third. What happens? What does it take for a team? I mean, with Burns, you can go, that's really good second half adjustments. But some of these for Malden have been really good in the first half, and they just kind of lose the gas pedal a little bit. What creates that?
I think it's just the opposite. Where the other team makes such adjustment, they just kind of stick with their same game plan. They're in Malden almost. Like I said, they've come out with some good drives early, some good scripted drives, things like that. But once it's time to make an adjustment, they haven't had the success there they like to see. So I think just kind of, growing up and getting their team to understand maybe what they're trying to do a little better in the second half be a big plus.
We got a good question here on the text line because the game is tonight. But again, we're watching the trees outside of the studio, and they are whipping around already. There are gusts projected, and he says 45 mile an hour. I don't know if it's going to get that high, but it is going to be a windy night. So if there is a lot of swirl kicking up around there, if the gusts are getting up into those 30s, 40s at a flex ball path, if this does come down to a game that's going to require both teams to have a really good run game, does that benefit Burns or does that benefit the Vikings?
I got bad news for the Rebels. That benefits Spartanburg, I feel like there. That team, Drake Carter is a big running back for them, but really Raheem Jeter runs the ball well, too.
Yeah.
He's a big body quarterback. Can really get going down.
I think Jeter's got a Player of the Week award to his name so far this year, too.
Probably. He's a massive human being, Rob. The Wildcat there they do with him is really good. It's not really a Wildcat. He's the quarterback, obviously, but runs the ball super well for them. They can get it going on the ground. I think that the run game probably leans a little bit in the favor of the Vikings.
Dorman at Bowling Springs. Give me some thoughts on that one.
You're going to talk about a run game. Oh, my gosh, the Cavaliers are good. They've got 2 D1 commits playing tackle, DJ Geth going to North Carolina, Mark Anderson going to South Carolina. We watched him last week against River Bluff. They didn't get a ton going the first half with Demarius Foster out there. Second half, they kind of went Wildcat with DJ Porter. He ends up running for 211 yards on the game. Demarius Foster has a couple big runs there as well. They will just pound you and just lean on you and just wear you out there in the second half. The Cavaliers are tough, man, and they're going to be a tough out for anyone here in 5A this year.
Wade Hampton at Riverside, and you don't have take the over in your notes, but you might as well.
Yeah. If you put me in line, I'm gonna say over for sure. Cooper's Tankersley, Nigel Brewster doing a great job for Wade Hampton. Rob Sanders and Caden Crosby lighting it up for Riverside there. Could be a fun game, a fun kind of Greenville rivalry there, Rob. Really cool matchup between the Warriors and the tribe there. The Generals and the Warriors tonight.
And Easley at Pickens to wrap it all up. Freshman quarterback in this one. And there's been, we talked a little bit about this last week. There seems to be it feels to me like an abnormally high number of underclassmen at the QB1 spot, probably the position where you're least comfortable having them on a football field. But Caleb Sutton's been doing all right.
This kid has been great. Electric. He was one of our players a couple weeks ago. Runs the ball well, throws the ball well. Really dynamic athlete there. Really just opens up the options for that Green Wave offense. And he's done a great job. I think they win again tonight against Pickens. And Rob, I was thinking about the whole underclassmen thing there. I think we're starting to finally get into the place where it's been more focused on as like a youth player, I guess. You're getting all these QB camps coming up now, and you're getting these guys who are QB gurus, training them from early age, things like that. I think this is kind of that wave that's starting to funnel into the high school age where people who maybe started taking lessons as a 6th, 7th, 8th grader, 5th grader, whatever, that's where it's kind of coming from. I think that's kind of why some of these younger quarterbacks are starting to play a little more, it seems like.
Yeah, no, I think you're probably spot on. And we've seen this, this has been a thing over the past where you've seen a lot of the 7-7 camps and the QB camps, and they've been using juniors and seniors, prepping them for college, but it has moved down just a little bit. And it kind of started popping up around the same time. And I think as a direct consequence, we've all made the jokes in the past about guys like Lane Kiffin and Nick Saban making bona fide, genuine scholarship offers to 7th graders. Just to put that, it's not so much that, hey, we want you to sign. It's more just we want you to know we see you. Yeah. We see you. Put in the work, and maybe you can be at Bama or Ole Miss or USC or whatever down the line. But obviously, when you've got seventh graders getting official mail from Nick Saban, parents of seventh graders are going to start going, yeah, we better start getting this kid ready.
How do we do that? How do we do that?
Yeah, we better start getting this kid ready because full ride sounds spectacular. And I think the colleges have almost created a need because at the flip side, if you are a quarterback guru or a QB specialist as a coach, and you take over a kid coaching him in 6th and 7th grade, and then he goes to Bama, that's a feather in the cap, and now all of a sudden you can start getting more of those guys. Hey, I just sent a kid to Bama. I just sent a kid to USC. I just sent a kid to Notre Dame to play quarterback. If you learn from me, you've got the same opportunity. Because here's the thing. We've started to see freshmen and sophomores playing quarterback, and more of them than aren't are pretty good.
Yeah, exactly right. These guys are coming out, ready-made in their 9th, 10th grade year, making big-time ball plays. I mean, you look at these teams we just mentioned, easily young quarterback there. Riverside, Rob Sanders has been playing for 3 years there for those guys. Greenville, Bryson Drummond's a young guy there for them. Spartanburg, Raheem Jeter's been playing since his freshman year. A lot of young guys on that list. Eli Hudgens at Powdersville playing for a couple years now for them. It's all over the upstate, all over the state, all over the country, really, Rob. It's kind of a trend for sure in that younger direction.
Without a doubt. And let me ask you one more before I cut you loose. And I know we're kind of doing more sports talk than breakdown at this point, but you don't have anything better to do.
No.
You talk to coaches all the time for Moving the Chains for the podcast. You talk to local coaches. You guys are on the field after games doing interviews, et cetera. And I don't know if you've had the chance to ask or if you've just picked up on coaches talking about it. But one of the things I've always wondered is, if a 9th grader shows up or even a 10th grader who shows up and takes over that quarterback spot, I mean, the quarterback by default on almost every team is a locker room leader. If you got a senior who's sitting there at 17 years old and in comes a 14, 15-year-old kid as a freshman QB, what type of impact does that have on a team's chemistry? And, at the college level, when you get a highly touted freshman recruit who comes and take over the quarterback, I think just like in relationships, the older you are, the less the age gap feels off-putting, right? Like a 65-year-old man dating a 55-year-old woman, nobody asks a question, but a 25-year-old man dating a 15-year-old will put your ass in jail.
Big problems.
Yeah. So with that age gap in high school, have you, in your experience with coaches or teams, et cetera, has there been any noticeable impact on a team's chemistry when you do have such a young kid at such a strenuous time in their lives, trying to not just adjust to be the leader of a football team, but also going to your freshman year of high school is chaos, man. And we've all done it. It's absolute chaos. Is there a noticeable impact on team chemistry when you do have a freshman or a sophomore that is the starting varsity quarterback?
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes, obviously we say this word a lot, Rob, culture. I mean, if you've got a good culture there, you can get through it. But I think the biggest key really is to having leaders at other spots other than that quarterback spot. Like you said, that's usually, the leader of your team. But a freshman is not going to really be the vocal guy that you want him to be a lot of times. So you've got to have maybe a senior O-lineman that's a big player,
sure,
or running back, whatever it is. But if you have somebody in one of those other spots that can really kind of step up and take that vocal leadership away and just let him kind of play, then you can kind of get through it and you can be successful all year long.
Love it. Kevin Thomas, host of the Moving the Chains podcast. You can find them on all the social media at Moving Chains. Keegan popped in and said no G because Kevin's all the G you need. Facebook.com/Moving Chains, Twitter and Instagram at Moving Chains. You can find the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, etc. And their website is movingchains.com. Plus, don't forget, on Friday night, you guys going to do the Spaces tonight?
Probably Thursday night Spaces, yeah.
I love it. Thursday night Spaces. On Twitter at Moving Chains. After the games, traditionally on Fridays, they'll go live tonight. They do a Twitter Spaces. I thought, live for the record, just to tell you guys why you should tune in. Last week was interesting because I'll pop in after Burns games and give the breakdown from the press box. Last week, we were in there talking Burns, and in pop like 3 of the Rebels players, including RJ, from the bus on the ride back to the upstate. And I'm talking at any level, very rarely do you have a post-game show where the players are like constantly you'll have post games that do player interviews, but these guys are popping in. They're like, yo, let me tell you what it looked like from behind the face mask, which is really, really cool.
Yeah, super fun, man. It's super easy to do it. Like, literally, you just hop in there, you hit request, and we approve you, and your mic's on, you're good to go.
Yeah.
Super simple, man. We've had people from all over the upstate, all over the state hop in and kind of give us feedback on games. Like, we always say, if you were at a game, talk to us about it. If you want to hear about a game, let us know that, too. I mean, everybody has a great perspective. We can only be at 1 or 2 games, between us 3, and then want to hear about the whole state. So hop in there and let us know what you think.
Love it. Follow them on Twitter at Movin' Chains. Let's take a break. We'll come back here in just a minute. Take a look at the South Carolina v. SC State game taking place tonight in the Cola. We'll break that down next on the Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate. All right, stream. Be right back. Don't go nowhere. All right, real quick before I get to the South Carolina SC State game taking place tonight over in the Cola. If any of you go to that game, by the way, do me a favor. Take some video. I want to see from a fan perspective what the new setup looks like with the lights and all that timed out. I'll be interested to see that. But before I get there, I want to talk real quick about a young lady who has gained some internet infamy over the last 24 hours. So the hurricane is coming ashore down in Florida right now. And there is a young woman who is a reporter down there, and I'm trying to find her name right now. But Kyla Gaylor is her name, which is a great weather reporter name, Gaylor.
Yeah.
Kyla Gaylor is a reporter down in South Florida. She works for NBC2 and is covering Fort Myers, which is where the predominant area where this storm is coming ashore. Well, Kyla Gaylor was doing her live reporting from down there in Fort Myers, and pictures started coming out of Kyla. And I don't have it, but I'm going to put the picture up on the screen. That is Kyla Gaylor right there. And if you can't, if you can see, there's something very interesting about Kyla Gaylor's microphone. T2, I'm going to hand this picture to you. I want you to look at her microphone and tell me if something sticks out to you.
It looks like a box cutter. No, that's not it. Other hand.
That's her machine that reads the gust speed.
Oh, I see it.
What can you pick out about Kyla Gaylor's microphone?
Can I say this?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, I can. Okay. She has a condom.
That is correct.
Wrapped around it.
That is correct. Miss Kyla Gaylor was seen on the news, and I'll zoom in a little bit there. I'm putting the picture up on the stream at facebook.com/thefanupstate, twitter.com/thefanupstate, twitter.com/The Rob Brown Show, YouTube, search and subscribe to The Rob Brown Show, or on Twitch at The Rob Brown Show. That's easy enough. Kyla Gaylor had her news microphone covered up by a condom, by a prophylactic. And she was getting roasted on social media because of it, to the point that she had to put up a Facebook post that said, a lot of you are asking, and yes, I do have a condom on my mic. It is the best way to protect it from the wind and the rain. Now,
I was about to say, I mean, it is kind of genius.
I was a television news reporter, and as a television news reporter, I got sent out in 2016, 17, somewhere in that ballpark. The Florida Panhandle had a severe ice storm, which is not a thing in the Florida Panhandle, right? Like even in the winter, it's in like the 50s there, right?
Right.
But we had an ice storm, and it was a weirdly out-of-season ice storm too. And when you work for local news and something like that happens, they're like, yeah, go on out there. Like, I don't know if you know this, but there's ice falling from the sky. And then
we need that story. Go.
Ice, yeah, basically. They're like, we'll be here in the newsroom with the heater on. Get in the car, Rob.
Yep.
So they sent me out into this ice storm. They sent me out into this ice storm to cover the ice storm. And basically, there are two bridges you have to cross to get from Fort Walton Beach to Destin. And most of the people who work in Destin live in Fort Walton Beach, right? Like it's only 2 miles, 3 miles away. It's much, much cheaper to live there than it is in the tourist town. Mm-hmm. So most of the people who work in Destin live in Fort Walton Beach, and you have to cross the Brooks Bridge and then the Destin Bridge to get into Destin. Well, these bridges, because of the ice storm, were iced over. And it went from people trying to cross the bridges and basically getting up the bridge and then sliding back down and causing wrecks to the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office had to shut the bridges down. So they sent me out into the middle of downtown to the bridges to cover this ice storm. It was raining, and the rain coming down was not hail. It was like sludge, dude. It was like sludge. It was gross. The ground was frozen with sludge and then a layer of solid ice underneath it.
Right.
And this was my first weather assignment, right? Now, I would report through a couple of tropical storms, I think 1 or 2 hurricanes, but this was the first weather assignment. They sent me out in the rain, gave me this really dope North Face jacket and all that. But they sent me out in the rain, and we get out there, and I realize, I'm like, they hand you, like, you've got a handheld microphone. Can't use a lav mic in that case because of the wind.
Right.
So they send me a mic, and obviously you've got to keep the mic dry. And my cameraman at the time, young guy by the name of Daniel Giat, fantastic cameraman Daniel was. Daniel goes, you got to keep the mic covered. And he handed me a condom. And I'm like, dang, Daniel, look at you. Daniel was like this young, innocent, pure of heart, like not a drop of anything but cherub innocence to this kid. He hands me one. And I'm like, damn, Daniel, just rolling out. Okay, what are you getting into tonight, buddy? He's like, no, that's what this is for. Like, we keep them in the car for this. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. This is old school news reporter trick of the trade. Because think about it. If you are trying to get, pardon me for being gross, if you are trying to get liquid to not go from one side of a surface to the other side of a surface, why not use the thing that is designed to do that better than anything else?
Yeah.
Because if that thing can't get liquid or can't keep it from getting one side to the other, you've just committed to 18 years. All right? That's very common. So this young lady's going viral on the internet for having protective gear on her microphone, from having a rain jacket on her microphone, pardon the expression. Yeah, that's how it works. That's how it works. I love how she has gotten famous for this. Right?
I know, when it's been something that's been a part of the industry for how long?
Listen, when you get sent out, I was a multimedia journalist.
I think we learned that in school too.
100%.
They told us that in school.
100%.
Yeah.
I was in an MMJ, and an MMJ is a very fancy way for news directors to say, you are now a reporter and your own cameraman, but we don't want to pay you more. Right? Like it used to be, if you were a reporter, you had an assigned cameraman to you. There was one cameraman or one camera operator that you were paired up with every day. And you develop a very trusting relationship. I trust you to get the shot. You trust me to get you the materials you need to put together a package. I trust you to edit that package together in a way that I'm going to like. You trust me to give you a good script to put on top of it, yada, yada, yada. And I was that way for Daniel. With Daniel for about 1.5 years, 2 years. And then eventually they were like, we're going to make you an MMJ. We're not going to have camera operators anymore. You're going to, well, when you're in that, they will tell you, for a news director, the equipment is more valuable than you, right?
Right.
Because right now, I guarantee you, there are probably 15 kids listening to this show who want to grow up and be a news journalist, a TV reporter, sports or otherwise. You are not as valuable as the equipment is, because there's every day the news stations get 30 DVDs of kids trying to be a reporter, right? You do whatever you can to protect that equipment. I remember covering football games, and if you were shooting a shot from the corner of the end zone, and a guy caught it and dove into you, you were expected to lay your body under the camera to protect the camera from hitting the ground. That's an expectation of that gig. So I am 0% shocked that Miss Kayla was using protection.
She was using protection.
100%. I love that that's what she's gone viral for. Texter said, Lonzo just woke up in a cold sweat.
Well, I think it's awesome that she went viral for doing her job.
Yeah, good on her for.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, listen, she got her 15 minutes.
Yeah, man.
She got her 15 minutes.
And if that made her go viral, I mean, that's a lot of exposure for her. So that's awesome.
100%.
There's no such thing as bad publicity.
That's a fact. That's a fact. So leave Kayla alone.
That's right.
She's just trying to do her job.
Yep.
And do it well.
She did do it well, and she is. I mean, how many other people would risk their lives doing what she's doing?
I did. It sucks. Did you see Cantori got taken out by a tree branch? Not taken out.
Oh no, that's terrible.
Every time.
How do you say that so casually? yeah, he just got taken out by a tree branch.
Right, here's why. Here's why I do this. All right. I've been in that job. I've been sent out to cover tropical storms and hurricanes. I've been told, like, yeah, it's windy. Hop out of the car, do your spot, get back in the car, get to safety, right? But they want the shot more than anything. Because there is a big difference between, hey guys, it's Rob Brown back here in the Weather Force studios. Let's take a look at the weather radar of Hurricane Ian versus, I'm out here in the sun. It's wind gusts are at about 130 miles an hour, and there's a stop sign. And then, it's happened. It's happened to me.
And not to be insensitive to anybody who's ever gotten hurt or is actually perished from this, but if you actually YouTube,
first off, I have never heard of a reporter perishing from this. I'm sure
if you YouTube reporters devastating situations, some of them you can see them get hit by signs, and it's hilarious, dude.
That's my thing. Is the reason that I'm so casual about it, aside from having done it, it's kind of like it's kind of like if you, I don't even know. I'm trying to come up with a metaphor, but I really can't because all the ones that I get, it's a weird situation. I've been there. I've done that. It can absolutely be scary when even the cops are like, yeah, no, if you're screwed, we're not coming to get you.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, I guess I'll take my Subaru Outback out into this and see what happens.
It's okay. You got 4-wheel drive.
Super casual about it. The other reason is for a guy and for the record, I've got nothing but respect for Jim Cantori. All right, I know a lot. In Florida, the joke. In fact, there was a bar called Hellenbach down there that was right on the water, and they made shirts that had Cantori's name with the red circle with a slash through it. That said bleep Cantori on it, and they literally called Cantori. I know the owner, a guy named Chris, fantastic dude. Called Cantori's if you're not cool with these shirts, we won't make them. And Cantori was like, no, I get it. I get it. He came to the bar when he was coming down for Hurricane. He came down to the bar and signed a bunch of the shirts. I actually had one I don't know where I put it, but Cantori's a great dude. I got a lot of respect for Cantori. But if every time there's a hurricane, you're like, I'm going to drive to the middle of the worst of it and get out. You got to understand the risk that come with that, right?
Yeah.
And the risks that come with that is a stop sign coming by and Terry Tate office linebackering you when you're in the middle of the road. So anyway, Cantori was in, I think, Fort Myers, and he's in the middle of the road, and a huge tree branch just comes, tumbleweeding down the middle of the road, catches Cantori in the legs and just wipes him out.
Him out, yeah.
And when I saw that clip, I'm like, and one of my buddies said, they're like, dude, that's dangerous. Why are you laughing? Why are you laughing?
Because but didn't he decide to go there and do that? Yeah.
I'm like, dude, at some point, you got to realize that if you keep throwing yourself into the midst of Cat 4 hurricanes, you're eventually going to take a tree branch to the bod.
Yeah. But hey, man, mad respect for
100%.
people that do that, because we wouldn't know what's going on if it wasn't for those people.
100%.
So, yeah, mad respect for news weather people.
Nothing but respect for the Cantoris and the Kayla Gaylors of the world.
Yeah, dude.
Who go out so that we can see what's going on. I got nothing but respect for these cats, but at the same time, it's kind of funny. It's one of those things. It's one of those things that, if you're out with your buddies, and you have a couple of drinks, and leaving the bar, one of them eats it in the parking lot, right? They just face plant in the parking lot.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. Not that I've done that. It's one of those things. For the record, when I passed out, it was a vasovagal incident, which is doctor speak for you passed out and we have no idea why. It's one of those things that when it happens, as soon as your buddy pops up and he's like, I'm okay. You're like,
yeah, it's just funny, yeah.
If Cantori ever actually gets taken out by a tree, I'm going to feel bad.
Yeah, I
That
would be
sucks.
sad about that.
But when Cantori gets popped by a tree and wiped out in the middle, when he's like standing in a road having to like lean into the hurricane and he gets wiped out by a tree, I'm going to he popped up. He's like, oh, well, that sucked, but here's what's happening. It's like, all right, I'm going to laugh at that. That's comedy. That's funny. If Cantori got wiped and then taken out into Tampa Bay and washed away, I'd be like, oh, that sucks. That's not
Yeah,
funny.
that would be sad.
But he popped back up and
Yeah.
he's like, ow.
He's
All
like,
right, that's
dude,
funny.
I'm fine. I'm fine. Let's continue. Yeah.
That's funny. I'm good with that. All right. Texas says, fan, finally moved the Gamecocks to Thursday makes sense. With all the footballs and wind combined with Zoe's warnings, someone could lose a groin. Yeah, well, that's the most dangerous injury of them all. Texas says, I feel like a coworker threw that branch at him for effect. I got to tell you, I would love... Listen, there was a scene from a flash flood caused by a storm like 5 or 6 years ago. And I'll never forget it because, as a TV reporter, I got in trouble to some degree because I never wanted to exaggerate a story. But compelling images are what sell the news, right?
Right.
So there was a story a number of years ago where there was a young lady who was covering a storm that had massive flooding with it. And they go, where was it? I don't remember where it was. I'll see if I can pull it while I'm talking about it. Where she was like in the middle of a street and she was like kayaking down the street. Oh, here, in fact, I found the video. It was on the Today Show. This woman was in Wayne, New Jersey. All right? Wayne, New Jersey. And she's in a friggin' canoe. And she's like, yeah, I'm out here in this canoe. Michelle Kozinski is her name. All right? I can't put this video on the stream because I might get flagged for a copyright, and I've already got my first copyright strike, so I can't take the risk. But you can Google Today Show canoe. Matt Lauer text. Good Lord. Matt Lauer tosses to Michelle Kozinski, who is in a freaking canoe. And she's like paddling, and she's like, yeah, I'm here in Wayne, New Jersey, where storm surge and flooding from the local storm has created impassable flooded conditions in the city. And as she's paddling down the middle of the road, T2, these two guys in waders go walking a foot in front of her canoe in ankle-deep water. All right? Ankle-deep water. They just walk right in front of her shot. She's like, oh, it's just flooded conditions. I've had to get into this canoe in order to show you how deep the water really is. And these two dudes just go walking. I mean, they have to walk around her canoe. The water's ankle freaking deep.
Ankle deep.
Yeah.
Man,
it's
well,
like,
I don't know.
Michelle,
It had to have been at least knee deep for her to be in a canoe.
No, it's ankle deep. If you want to come around and look at the video,
All
you're
right,
welcome
I'm about
to
to come
it.
look.
I would like to put it on the stream, but like I said, I can't risk the copyright strike. So T2, you can give me your real-time reaction, right?
Yeah.
Lauer tosses to Michelle Kozinski in this canoe, paddling down the middle of the road, right? And she's like, oh, it's so deep. Then watch these two cats and tell me that they have to walk around the canoe. It's ankle-deep water. Is that ankle deep? Am I being fair? Thank you very much. Right? So I get that, it's happened, but I love the idea that there was like one camera operator who's like, I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get him. Don't tell Jim. Watch this. And just Mortal Kombat's him with a branch. Amazing.
Well, they did that. There was some other instances of that where like there was a reporter just reporting like that the wind was really high, some hurricane maybe a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And then there was like people just walking around,
walking
but
around with a
they
snow
had like
cone.
a fan like or something
Yeah.
on him, like, and he's just like, it's so bad.
So good.
And then there's like people just kind of like waving at each other
Yeah.
in the background.
So respect to Cantori and Kayla Gaylor for their work. All right, let's take our final break. When we come back, Twitter trending topics to wrap up the broadcast. here on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Sweep the leg, Johnny.
Baseball action, the Yankees beat the Blue Jays 8-3. Aaron Judge hit his American League record-tying 61st home run of the win. The Yankees American League.
Oh, moments like that are priceless.
Oh, they're so good.
The Marlins 5-4 in 10 innings. New York with a 1-game lead ahead of Atlanta for the top spot in the National League East. The teams begin a 3-game series Friday in Atlanta.
My show's so dumb. I love it.
Visit the Bengals tonight. Miami 3.
Hey, man, sometimes simplicity is the best.
That's a fact.
Trying to play with an injured back on short rest. Dolphins coach Mike McDaniel said week. Questionable.
Watch TV reporter punch during live broadcast. I gotta see this.
Catch Furman Paladins football all season long on the Fan Upstate. Download the Odyssey
I
app.
feel like I need audio for this.
Then listen anywhere on your phone. I'm Chuck Sanders, and that's your sports flash on the Fan Upstate.
Go.
Upstate, 97.7 FM Greenville.
Dude, that wasn't cool, man.
I'll tell you what. There were a few times that I genuinely felt like I was in danger reporting the news.
Dude just walked out and just like punched the guy in the face.
Yeah, that's not cool.
That wasn't funny at all. It's one thing if it's an accident. But if you deliberately punch somebody while they're doing their job, that's messed up. Because what do you do at that point? You know?
You do nothing.
Yeah, you can't because you're representing your company at that moment.
There is the other aspect of being a cameraman is that your cameraman is your bouncer. He is your security. The cameraman's job, quite literally, is to protect you as the reporter, specifically when you are recording, because you can't pay attention to everything. Like, you have to be focused on what you're cutting, on what you're reporting.
Oh, I would love that job then.
Like, you have to act as security, as bouncer, as spotter. Like, there's a lot of responsibilities beside just pointing the camera at the reporter and recording. As far as field work goes.
Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things.
Well, that cameraman didn't do his job then.
Well, that's the other thing is you've also got to be you've got to be behind the camera while you're doing all that, and that's like it's tough to do all of that at the same time.
Yeah.
There's only so much you can do in that position.
Oh yeah, there's a lot even with this. There's a lot of similarities between this and that too. Just having to be hyper aware of everything.
Yep.
When people have a craving to explore new and traditional Asian cuisines, they head to Chang's, where scratch-made dishes come from the 2,000-year-old.
All right, let's call that segment.
Possibilities for their website. They turn to AmericanEagle.com.
Call it
We-architected P.F. Chang's website, integrating multiple.
Taking on the Weather.
I like it. Add a little flair, add a little drama to it.
Based on users' location, intuitive online ordering, and increase in organic search visibility.
Alright, save. What was the first segment? Oh yeah, what was that guy's name?
Kevin Thomas.
From the what podcast?
Moving the Chains.
Visit AmericanEagle.com. P.F. Chang's at AmericanEagle.com. Another example of the best businesses in the world. Turning to the best in the business for websites. Go to AmericanEagle.com.
Chains podcast.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. It's powerful
Hit that and then say Burns football.
companies might deliver a lot of hay. ZipRecruiter
I have enough characters for it? Yeah, it should. Burns Football with Kevin Thomas from Move In the Chains podcast. Save. All right.
All right, let's wrap this bad boy up, ladies and gentlemen. The Rob Brown Show on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. Rob, T2, the Timidator, sitting in here with us today. Lonzo will make his return on Monday here on the radio broadcast. Trey said, I got to sit ground level at the Georgia-Oregon game. It was always fascinating to see how the cameraman moved on his cart end zone to end zone. I think it would be fun to film a football game the way ESPN does it. I have done some low-level, like local news-level production at live high school football games, and the majority of that is obviously like a hard cam up on top of the press box. Every now and then you'll get a sideline camera. I'm going to tell you right now, as somebody who has been behind the mic and in front of the camera from the news and entertainment angle pretty much my entire career, the level of respect that I have for camera operators, for producers, for technicians, for writers, those are the guys and gals that make all of this happen and never get enough credit for it. Now, I have taught myself how to run a board so that if there's an emergency and Lonzo is out, I can run my own show. You're not going to get a lot of hosts that can do that, pat on my own back. But when it comes to like the TV side of things, when you get those incredible shots from the sideline, like George Pickett's one-handed catch for the Steelers last week, that's amazing work from the camera operators. Amazing work from the camera operators, and they deserve all the respect and all the praise for it. Appreciate you guys listening today. Hope you enjoyed the show. I enjoy bringing it to a much better day today. Much better day today, I thought. So I appreciate all of you guys hanging out with us today. Tomorrow's show is going to be a lot of fun. We'll have a full breakdown of tonight's South Carolina v. SC State game. Tonight's Burns v. Spartanburg game will be broken down tomorrow on the show. It is going to be a good one. So I hope that you will join us tomorrow as we wrap up our broadcast week and get ready for a wet, rainy football weekend. T2 has been working the board for Lonzo. We will be back tomorrow to do it all over again. Thanks for listening, guys. Appreciate it as always. The Rob Brown Show is right here on the Fan Upstate. Later, brother. Without a doubt, the butt pump was made. Brandon, if you did not see it on the Manning cast during Monday Night Football on the Manning cast, Pat McAfee came on and actually broke down the butt fumble, and it was hilarious. I think if you go to his Twitter feed, he's got a video of it. But Pat McAfee's breakdown of the butt punt was absolutely freaking hilarious, man. All right, dudes.